live from White House Field in Harwich, Massachusetts. The Harwich Mariners look to keep it rolling in the... Well, it took a while to get here, but the power's back on, the burgers are on the grill, and the fans have filed in. We're ready to play baseball here on this lovely Tuesday evening. Pitch the good one, and that is going back. That's a hard hit ball. Back it goes toward the fence. Gone! The Harwich Mariners walk it on.
One final out. The Mariners and Cole Rowland on the mound in a save situation. We're looking to the right-handed reliever out of Wake Forest to give them that one final out. It was 2 strikeouts in the bottom of the 9th inning with the Mariners that had 1-0 until the Orleans Firebirds took advantage of a bases-loaded situation. Game one of round 1 of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs on a walk-off base hit from Jack Penny of Notre Dame. And with that, we welcome you into White House Field for Game 2 of the first round of the Cape Cod East Division playoffs. Wyatt Kopelman and Devin Dobeck here with you on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And Devin, Mariners have Tom Chmielewski on the mound tonight. They got a dominant outing out of starter Blake Purnell out of Florida, his strongest of the year. He went 5 scoreless, but the Mariners needed more run support late.
Yeah, the pitching was there. I mean, Sean Hard came in. He went 3+ innings. Probably should have been pulled in the 9th, but unfortunately, sometimes you roll the dice, and Sean Hart, a more than capable pitcher of handling that situation, and it didn't pay off. And Harwich has now got to take that in the chin and move forward here in Game 2. You're still going against the same team, a team who you've beaten 4 times this year, although you've lost the last 3 matchups, 2 in the regular season, 1 in the postseason. You can beat them. It's very doable, and if you want to stay alive, you're going to need a big one here today.
Harwich got its longest start from a Mariners starting pitcher in its last 7 games, dating back to Dominic Picone's start of 6 1/3 innings against the Wareham Gatemen on the road, and albeit they lost, the Mariners will be looking to a strong start out of Chmielewski here tonight as he enters 1-3 on the year, making his first postseason start here. The native Massachusetts native faces Joe Oyama to lead it off. He's followed by the designated hitter and Justin Rubin. Batting third, the shortstop, Jack Penny, number 11. The cleanup hitter, number 31, Matt Holback of UC San Diego, the first baseman. The 5-hole hitter is the left fielder in Eddie Micheletti Jr., number 24. Eddie King Jr., the center fielder, number 14, bats 6th as Chmielewski deals the first pitch, and it's bounced foul back behind home plate. Underway in Game 2 at 5:31 p.m. Batting 7th, Brandon Stallman, the third baseman. The 8-hole hitter, Owen Carapalati, the catcher, number 41. And rounding out the starting 9 for longtime field manager Kelly Nicholson, the right fielder, number 13, Fenwick Trimble. Just 2 changes here for the Orleans Firebirds today. That comes in Carapalati, the catcher who pinch hit last night, and Fenwick Trimble out of James Madison, who fills in the 9th spot as Colin Tuft, the right fielder, batted there last night. It's a quick 0-2 here to Oyama. Next pitch is a check swing, and the third base umpire, Chris Engstrand, says they held up as Oyama stays alive. Bringing you the umpiring crew here tonight at White House Field in Game 2 of the first round. Jeff Kinney calling the balls and strikes behind home plate. Chris Engstrand is at third. At second is Mickey Garcia, as that one goes low, and Mike Hinojosa is at first base here. Well, this is an Orleans team that has now won 16 of its last 28 games, had 18 last season. It was a 7-win improvement here for Kelly Nicholson to this point. As a 2-strike pitch, a slider just missing low and away. Chmielewski does not want to be falling behind early in counts here to Orleans, which has hit around 240 in the season series.
Yeah, and Chmielewski, as long as his control's down, he's going to give a quality start. This is going to be big, especially if you put speed on the base paths early, a key pitch coming.
This is a deciding one as Oyama swings way through that time. It's the first strikeout here for the Princeton product, and there's one away here.
He has not had a hit in this series, that being yesterday into today. I mean, an 0 for him yesterday. Even when the bases loaded, actually ended up punching out in the 9th for out number 2 at the time, and luckily Justin Rubin and Jack Penny able to pick him up. But Oyama, yeah, an 0 for 5 day yesterday, very uncharacteristic.
Justin Rubin watched the slider down the middle for strike 1. Harwich last night, 5 for 14 with 2 outs. The Mariners capitalized when they needed to. They got a leadoff home run, the 6th from Ali Calmadillo, as they were anticipating that first 1-0 victory all season long. Harwich's bullpen, meanwhile, has averaged 6 innings in the last 7 games, with Chmielewski trying to give that some relief here tonight. On 1-1 here, Chmielewski, the left-hander, he deals a foul tip as it's 1-2 here. So Oyama battled back the last time, and we'll see that perhaps Justin Rubin, the 2-hole hitter, can battle back here. One of 2 Orleans batters actually earned 2 hits in Game 1 last night. So he'll try and set the tone here and try and force Chmielewski to work out the stretch. Bases were loaded last night against Cole Rowland, unable to get away with it, as it's still 1-2 here to the sophomore out of Virginia in Rubin. He hit left-handers extremely well during the regular season, Devin, at 400, just above his 344 mark against right-handers this year. And he has a favorable matchup here. Chmielewski looking for that second out. That one just goes low. Chmielewski trying to go back to the slider, 2-2.
Yeah, Rubin had that key hit back in the 9th inning that ended up tying the game. It was an infield single to the shortstop Ali Camarillo, a play that it looked like he might have had a chance to make, but unfortunately went in the favor of the Firebirds.
This one skied out towards center field. Obi, the outfielder of Duke, moving to his left, and he makes the play. 2 up and 2 away here for the Princeton product and Tom Chmielewski, and that brings us into setting the defensive alignment for Harwich at now 20-24-1 on the season, looking to tie the series here today in the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs. From left to right in the outfields, Leary, Obi, and Lambros. On the infield corners, Keister at third, Anderson at first, Camarillo at short, Rivera at second. Doing the catching tonight here for Chmielewski out of Neiman, Massachusetts, the UNC Wilmington catcher in Brian Arndt. So 2 away here as Jack Penny loops it foul to left side. Another left-handed hitter here for Orleans, similar to Oyama, hitting .275 on the season after scoring 3 runs and driving in 2 in the regular season finale at Chatham. What was a 14-12 loss that prevented the Orleans Firebirds from clinching the top spot in the Cape Cod East Division standings. Meanwhile, Yarmouth Dennis yesterday losing convincingly to Brewster, 18-7. The Whitecaps won at Red Wilson Field. Chmielewski now looking for a 1-2-3 job. Misses high with a fastball. Harwich third in the Cape Cod Baseball League in fielding percentage. Made just 2 errors last night as they will look to back Chmielewski up here today with some solid defense as that one just goes inside. So Chmielewski already dealing 3 2-ball counts here in his first 3 batters faced. Meanwhile, Penny at Notre Dame doubling his number of hits with 41 in his second season for the Fighting Irish. A big extra base hit threat here at the plate, and it said he'll earn a 5-pitch walk. Chmielewski missing high in him with the slider.
Yeah, and some signs of struggle from Chmielewski early. Of course, the playoffs, so much more on the line, so much more at stake, and a guy who was able to get those first 2 outs, but with this Orleans lineup, you're never in the clear, and Matt Halbach, a guy that can make you pay, so Chmielewski's got to focus on this batter, find a way to get him out. As easy as that sounds, it's not an easy task.
Well, you mentioned it being a tall task, and Halbach due for a hit here as he'll watch ball 1 low. Batted .286, 4 hits, 2 RBIs versus Harwich in the regular season, in which Harwich took 4 of those 6 games. But Halbach last night with 2 strikeouts as Chmielewski works out of the stretch here for the first time. Just misses low on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Quickly 2-0 here to the UC San Diego product. Completed his second season with the program, 20 multiple hit games, hit .306, earned 27 walks here. But here with the Orleans Firebirds, looking to give them the first hit, and he drills it through the right side. It took an awkward bounce in a right field, stopping at second Penny, and there's traffic on the base pass here against Chmielewski with 2 away.
Yeah, you're never safe. Tried to allude to it earlier, and now Eddie Micheletti Jr., another guy who can put a good swing on a baseball out of George Washington, had a fantastic season in the Atlantic 10 Conference and set to go to Virginia Tech. A guy who can really make it hurt now, and he was made for the postseason. We'll see what he can do. A favorable matchup for Chmielewski, lefty on lefty.
So Orleans did not get its first hits of the ball game until the 3rd inning yesterday, but did not score until the 9th inning with the game-deciding runs. This one drilled back up the middle here, and that will send Jack Penny home as he gets a wave around sign from Max Fesky, and he will score standing up. It's the Orleans Firebirds' first lead here in Game 2 as Eddie Micheletti Jr. drills one, and the Harwich Mariners are behind 1-0, still 2 down.
Took them 8 2/3 innings to score last night, and they score here with 2 outs in the first inning. Like I said, a team who can put together a 2-out rally in their sleep, and that's exactly what they do here in the heart of their order. Everybody contributing, 3 straight base runners, and the walk proves to be costly for Tom Chmielewski.
Blake Purnell, who started last night in Game 1, stranded 2 runners in each the first and the third, in addition to the 7th with Sean Hard, the first reliever. But now Chmielewski will be trying to limit to a 1 run of damage here, as Orleans gets the game's first 2 hits with the RBI base hit from Micheletti Jr. to turn it over to Eddie King Jr. out of Louisville. Orleans, a team that has 3 home runs here in the series, averaging about 3.14 runs per game. Accounts for 22 runs total in between the 6-game season series and last night, in which it won 2-1 for the second time in just a week. 1-1 here. A light foul tip from King Jr. out of Linwood, Illinois. The rising junior at Louisville has 15 RBIs on the season and looks to stretch the Orleans lead early. Chmielewski on 1-1, and it's fastball in the outer half, 1-2. Chmielewski trying to balance the slider and the fastball early here. King Jr., meanwhile, 1 for 3 last night, scored the tying run in the 9th inning. All back on second, Micheletti on first. There's a cut and a miss as Chmielewski is able to get his second strikeout, but he faces 6 here in the first inning as Orleans gets 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and leaves 2 on. Chmielewski able to escape with just 1 run against him as Harwich comes up for the first time in the bottom of the first. But first, we step away. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Orleans with an early 1-0 lead, moving into the home half of the opening frame. Ali Camarillo, the shortstop, Kevin Keister, the third baseman, and Ethan Anderson, the first baseman, lead off here. They're followed by the middle of the order in Devin Obie, the center fielder out of Duke, batting 5th. The UNC Wilmington catcher in Brian Arntz. A 6-hole hitter, Elijah Lambros out of Maryland. Batting 7th, the left fielder, number 27, Cameron Leary of Boston College. The 8-hole hitter, the designated hitter of South Carolina, Talmadge LeCroy. And batting 9th, the second baseman, Daniel Rivera. No changes from the Mariners lineup last night, set to face off against Ivan Romero out of San Diego as Camarillo shoots this one out towards right center field. A high fly ball for Trimble, and he makes the catch over towards his right. Well, an excellent play by Trimble, who did not get the start last night as a James Madison product, records the first out here for Romero. We'll bring you the defensive alignment for Orleans at 25-20 on the season, looking for a 2-game sweep here at White House Field in the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball Playoffs. From left to right in the outfield, Micheletti Jr., King Jr., and Trimble. On the infield corner, Stallman at third, Hallback at first, the shortstop Jack Penny, Joe Oyama at second. The catcher tonight is Owen Carapalati out of Georgetown. An excellent play that time as Camarillo was going on first pitch. And it's 1 ball here for Kevin Keister, the Smyrna, Delaware native, looking to capitalize here. Relatively quiet night for the Mariners lineup last night. Did not get the productivity that they anticipated out of the top of the order. Ali Camarillo, the only one in the lineup with 2 hits. Meanwhile, Romero 2 and 4 with 1 save and a 6.05 ERA in his junior season at San Diego, as Keister fouls it back to even the count. He made 7 scoreless outings after earning 7 combined wins, 6 saves in his first 2 seasons. Someone who has gotten a good deal of trajectory for himself with the program out in California. And he's coming off of 6 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 3 walks allowed, and an 11-7 win at Hyannis, as this one's bounced over towards the left side. Penny, the shortstop, and he can't make the play. A base hit here for Kevin Keister, and he has the Mariners first on the afternoon.
And you'll take it. I mean, they're not going to come easy. You got speed in Kevin Keister, so it was a tough play for Penny. He tried to kind of rush it and give himself a shot, but it just went right under his glove, and nonetheless, infield single. But with Romero, a guy the Mariners have seen before this season, and it came at a really tough time. The 12-0 shutout loss at home. Romero went 4 innings, did not allow a hit, an earned run, walked 2, struck out 1 in his 15 batters that he faced. So we'll see what he brings here against a Harwich lineup who struggled against him the first time. Nice to see a hit early.
So Keister, with his second infield single here in the series, he also got a walk in the game 1 last night. Ethan Anderson up here for the Mariners, someone who is capable of situational hitting, as he is longing for a hit here in the series. 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts in game 1 last night. That one just misses low on a fastball, 1-1 here to the Virginia Beach, Virginia native. He actually arrived at Virginia ahead of schedule. A lot of butterflies going on, never played in front of a stage this big, even during midweeks and weekend series. Is quite the place to play in front of a team that expects to go to the College World Series every year. And they went there this year. Fell a little bit short as Anderson fouls it away. Definitely aware of the pressure on the Mariners here today to win and force a game-deciding contest tomorrow at Eldridge Park. That one would be slated for 6:30. Meanwhile, Anderson hitting 186 on the season and looks to move a runner into scoring position here with Harwich behind 1-0 against Orleans. On 1-2, Romero deals a slider cut on and missed as Anderson was a 10 out in front, and it's a first punch out here for the San Diego product.
And yeah, if he can get his stuff going early, he's going to be a force to reckon with the rest of the afternoon. I mean, a guy who only had 1 strikeout in his last outing against the Mariners already tags one here in the first inning, and we'll see if the Mariners can rally and bounce back with their team MVP as they just coined Devin Obie.
A handful of end-of-year awards here given out to the Mariners. Tom Chmielewski also given Pitcher of the Year as Obie watches it high for ball 1 here. So 2 away here, and what's been a relatively quick start thus far for Ivan Romero. 1-1 on the season, a 4.65 ERA. He did give up 5 earned runs in 3 2/3 at Yarmouth Dennis, but only looks to carry the momentum here as it's quickly 2-0 here to Obie. So Keister on first with the 1-out infield single here. Romero, meanwhile, entering with 12 strikeouts to 8 walks on the season. Had a 2.44 strikeout to walk ratio in 20 games at San Diego this past season as Obie cranks it foul. And it's 2-1. Well, the Mariners, they drew some deep at-bats last night, and albeit they didn't get enough run production for Sean Hard late, they will certainly try and get more of that here today as Harwich got the game's first run in the 6th inning with that solo home run from Ali Camarillo. 2-1, Keister takes off for second, and the throw down on a bounce, and not in time. So Kevin Keister steals the Mariners 41 on the year, and there's a runner in scoring position, what might be a 2-out rally.
Good throw, probably had him. Not a great jump from Keister that time, but he's able to kind of persevere, leg it out, and get there just in time before middle infield could recover.
Obie with 19 walks on the season, hitting .242. Also has 23 RBIs as he looks to even the game here. 2-out RBI signal from Eddie Micheletti Jr., getting Orleans on the board first. Now Romero on 3-1. This one's grounded over towards the left side. Penny again, he drops it, tries to recover onto first, and it's in time. An excellent recovery by Penny out of Notre Dame, as the Mariners are only able to get a runner in a scoring position as they score no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and leave 1 on in Keister. 1-0 deficit for Harwich as Chmielewski goes back out for the 2nd inning here in Game 2 of the first round as you're watching the Harwich Mariners postseason run here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Just 4 for the Orleans starter and Ivan Romero out of San Diego as the Mariners leave a runner stranded in scoring position. And it's a 1-0 deficit for Harwich going into the second here in Game 2 of the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs. Brandon Stallman, Owen Carpellotti, Fenwick Trimble due up against Tom Shimoleski. Enters today with a 3.21 ERA, 23 strikeouts to 6 walks. As he deals a strike there to Stallman to get the second underway. Got his 25th back in the first as he faced 6, but gave up an RBI base hit to Eddie Micheletti Jr. Meanwhile, Stallman, the junior, out of Charlotte, as it's quickly 0-2 here to the Union, Missouri native. Stallman has also pitched in reserve fashion this year. He pitched 2 scoreless innings in that 15-5 loss for Orleans against Hyannis back on July 20th. 1 for 4 last night in Game 1, and he cuts and misses on a slow-moving slider down the middle as Shimoleski has punch-out number 3 here.
Yeah, Tom's got his stuff going. He's just got to find a way to get out of the innings now. He got 2 quick outs in the first inning, then ran into some trouble. He's got to find a way to power through, and once he settles in, he can be really dangerous. One of the biggest reasons he was an all-star. I mean, a guy who went 5+ innings in 4 of his 6 starts, and expecting that here tonight.
Yarmouth Dennis ahead 3-0 on the Brewster Whitecaps at Stony Brook Field after a convincing win for Brewster 18-7 last night at Red Wilson Field, a place where the Mariners finally got a road win to close out the regular season series against the Red Sox. Meanwhile, Owen Carpellotti finds himself quickly ahead in the count 2-0 here. An Orleans team hitting .206 on the season here through 7 games. Tied for 4th in the Cape Cod Baseball League in sacrifice hits, but got on the board first with an RBI base hit. This one shot back as it's 2-1.
And speaking of the Red Sox, they're leading the Brewster Whitecaps 3-0 at Stony Brook Field, a game they desperately need to win. I mean, a 1 seed getting swept is never what you want to see, at least as the 1 seed, and luckily they're on top of the Whitecaps trying to avenge that 18-7 loss.
A slow rolling ball over. Anderson, the first baseman, fires to Shimoleski covering at the bag, and he gets him by just a half step. What a play that time from Shimoleski and Anderson teaming up as they're quickly 2 away here in the second.
Yeah, it looked to be developing a little awkward. It looked like there was going to be no one covering first, but a nice job by Shimoleski to pick a route and then just stay on that line while Anderson worked him the ball. He's able to tag the bag, and there's 2 away.
Now 3 straight retired here for the left-hander out of Princeton to face Fenwick Trimble, hitting better against left-handers versus right-handers this season. .255 against Southpaws has provided a sacrifice fly for the Orleans Firebirds the last time he played in an 0-for-2 outing, that 14-12 loss against Chatham to close out the regular season back at Eldridge Park. Fastball fit on the outer half that time as it's 1-1. Cut and a miss here from Trimble out of James Madison. He was named to the All-Sun Belt second team after leading the program in slugging percentage, RBIs, home runs this past season. Has 2 home runs for the Firebirds this season. I want a flying bat over towards the left side as it's 1-2. Saw a good number of flying bats last night, and fortunately no fans were adversely affected.
No fans maybe, but maybe the broadcasters. I know we had one launch at our heads. Why? I had a broken bat that just hit the net right in front of us. That drew a flinch from me. I like to think I don't flinch too much knowing the netting's in front of me, but we almost got cracked.
Shimoleski, meanwhile, trying for his first 1-2-3 job of the day. Entered with 6 starts. He has made the most starts for the Mariners this season at 1-3 through 28 innings. Now has 27 strikeouts here on the season. The 1-2 outside as the count evens up at 2-2 here to Trimble. Harwich last night dealt 9 strikeouts across its pitching staff, including a season high from Blake Purnell. Also won a season high 5 innings as well. Shimoleski tries again as this one's roped out towards center field in the direction of Obi as he moves into it and makes the catch as Shimoleski retires Orleans in order and keeps it to a 1-run deficit after 1.5 innings. So the southpaw out of Princeton picks up his 3rd strikeout, and there's nothing across for the Firebirds. This is Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
the second for Harwich, the catcher from UNC Wilmington.
1-0 deficit for the Harwich Mariners against the Orleans Firebirds. Harwich looking to stay alive here in this best-of-3 first-round playoffs here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Wyatt Copeland and Devin Dobeck here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. A thrilling ending last night and what's turned into a tight start here today. Tom Shimoleski going with a 1-2-3 job in the second after allowing an RBI base hit to Eddie Micheletti Jr. as Brian Hart steps up and shoots it to the right side and foul territory haulback in front of the Orleans dugout, and he makes the catch nearing the fence that time. How about the first baseman as our 3-straight retired here for Ivan Romero?
Yeah, he's also, excuse me, a guy getting into a little bit of a rhythm. I mean, getting Brian Hart on one pitch is not an easy task to do, and an easy foul out, no harm, no foul. And yeah, no, one away here in the second. Harwich going to have to start to string some hits together early in counts.
Facing the second-best ERA team in the Cape Cod Baseball League in the Firebirds as Elijah Lambros watches it down the middle for strike one. A 4.8 ERA in its last 5 games held Harwich to just 1 run last night on the solo blast from Camadillo, his 3rd on the season. Now 0-2 here to the Fredericksburg, Virginia native in Lambros. A dominant season at Maryland this past year helped the Terrapins to their first Big Ten tournament title. 1 for 4 last night in Game 1, meanwhile. 2-strike pitch just misses low as it's a 1-2 here. Harwich in the first inning only bringing 4 to the plate. Kevin Keister with a 1-out single was able to steal second. But Ethan Anderson, Devin Obie unable to drive him home as he looked to get even here. So 2-2 here on the fastball from Romero. Looking for his second win here tonight for an Orleans team that has won 16 of its last 28 games. A 7-win improvement from last year. Lambros just fouls it back to protect as we'll keep it at 2-2. A first-year member of the Mariners, Lambros making his Cape Cod Baseball League debut on July 21st in a 5-3 loss at Hyannis. 3 straight multi-hit games in his first 4 games of the Mariners has made a solid impression. Instead, he cuts and misses that time as the Mariners are able to get their second hit on the day as there are 2 away here for Romero.
Comes down to Cam Leary, a guy who had a hit last night, but Harwich already off to a slow start, and it seems like they're pretty stagnant once they get going. I mean, you have either high offensive games or low offensive games. It hasn't really been that in the middle. They're either scoring less than 4 runs or over 10 runs. And so going to have to start going in a hurry here, already trailing by a run and with just 1 hit.
And you mentioned the sense of urgency with the slow start. Similar to last night, the Mariners scoreless for the first 5 innings as Cameron Leary, the Boston College product, watches it outside. Harwich was retired in order 5 times last night, mostly due to 10 strikeouts as Cameron Leary looks to keep the inning alive here. Had his 3rd RBI of the regular season, scored 2 runs in the Mariners' regular season finale, a 3-2 win at Brewster. Another place where the Mariners had yet to win in the regular season before pulling it off. So Romero has 2 strikeouts here. Entered this first-round matchup with 12 on the season, an ERA just under 4.7. Had a season-high 5 strikeouts in his last appearance, an 11-7 win at Hyannis for Orleans. That one drilled into center field, and it's into the glove of Eddie King Jr. as the Louisville product gives his starter in Romero a little bit of help, and it's a 1-2-3 job for the San Diego product. Nothing across for Harwich as it trails Orleans 1-0 after 2 innings here at White House Field. You're watching the Harwich Mariners postseason run on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
third for the Firebirds.
Tom Chmielewski, the starter out of Princeton, back out for the third time after retiring Orleans in order in the second. He'll face the top of the order for Orleans and Joe Oyama, Justin Rubin, Jack Penny. Orleans brought 6 to the plate in the first, but was kept quiet in the second. Oyama looking to get his first hit on the series. Quiet night in the leadoff spot last night for Kelly Nicholson, who just crossed 400 wins earlier in the regular season. Orleans closed out its regular season slate at 24-20. Harwich at 20-24-1 now. Oyama drills it into right field, and it's a first base hit here for the Okinawa, Japan native, and it's the third hit of the day for Orleans. By the way, Okinawa, Japan, Devin, a fun fact, is a group of about 160 islands in southern Japan, and its location of about 75% of U.S. military bases. But Oyama, since he's gotten here to America to play at UC Irvine, has only appreciated the chance to just continue to learn from different perspectives and experiences as well, and that's what he's provided, a lot of stability in the lineup for Kelly.
And that's exactly what you said. I mean, a guy who really has diversified his portfolio here and become such a better hitter. He can hit for power, average. He has speed on the base paths. I mean, really the true all-around player. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the running for Cape League MVP.
He had 6 triples in his first 28 games and had 3 multi-hit innings, 4 walks over the final 5 games of the regular season. So he has certainly experienced a lot of transcendent success as Justin Rubin shows bunt. Brian Arndt gets behind it, and he makes the catch. First out here in the third, and it starts with the leader and the returning catcher for the Mariners and Arndt.
Nice and easy one that time for Brian Arndt. I mean, that one not popped too high up, but he still had time to get under it, make the play, and that's as easy an out number 1 as you're going to get.
Well, the Mariners have turned 30 double plays on Penny, the hero of last night. Steps back up here, earned a 2-out walk back in the first, team across the score on the RBI base knock from Eddie Micheletti Jr. Sophomore at Notre Dame and local product as well. Orleans, a team not very susceptible to stealing bases this year. 40 on the season in 54 tries. But Oyama probably the most likely to steal here against the left-hander Chmielewski. This one banged over towards the right side. All in bounce for Rivera. He gets it to second for one, a throw back to first, and it's in time. Rivera to Camadillo to Anderson. The Mariners get their 31st double play on the season as the side draws to a close with left-hander in Tom Chmielewski. Orleans scores no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and leaves nobody on. Harwich behind 1-0 after 2.5 innings here at White House Field. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Four 6-3 double play gets Tom Chmielewski to face the minimum in the third, as he did in the second. Talmadge Leakroy, Daniel Rivera, and Ali Camadillo do up here for the Mariners, trying to even the game, if not take the lead. Wyatt Copeland and Devin Dobeck, we appreciate you joining us for the second game of the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs. Harwich last night, a devastating loss after it took a walk-off loss at the hand of the Firebirds on Monday night. Solo home run from Ali Camadillo then, and a solo home run from Camadillo last night, the rising middle infielder at Texas A&M. Talmadge Leakroy up for the first time here today. Harwich went down in order in the second as well. But for Harwich, got its longest start out of Blake Purnell this season, in addition to having its third one-run loss in 8 games. It was also its 6th straight game with 8 hits or fewer. That dates back to the Mariners' 21-5 win against the Brewster Whitecaps as LeCroy slices it back foul. So the urgency for the Mariners with 1 hit is well alive here after just getting 5 last night.
Yeah, it's only a 1-run ball game. I mean, you take a look at last night. I mean, Mariners were up 1-0 until 2 outs in the 9th, and then things just went south. So they should be able to overcome this. I mean, you got to score runs to win ball games. You're only down 1. I mean, this is more than manageable.
Most wins for Harwich since 2019 as well, as Harwich achieves that 21 season, getting that series victory against the Brewster Whitecaps. LeCroy cuts and misses, as he'll have to see a payoff pitch here. Ivan Romero, he's looked quite sharp thus far after giving up the infield single to shortstop. Jack Penny just unable to corral it in time. Mariners were an out away last night on a ground ball to short. Payoff pitch slammed foul. Romero coming off his best outing on the season, 6 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts for a season high in that win at Hyannis. And this is the starter that Kelly Nicholson wants on the mound here after a dazzling start last night from Grayson Carter out of Vanderbilt. 3-2 on the way, just inside. Talmadge LeCroy works it cleanly, and the Mariners have a leadoff base runner here. The first walk issued here from Romero of UC San Diego.
That one almost too close to take. A really good breaking ball from Romero on the inside corner. Must have just missed it to speak to that end. I mean, a really good pitch, located well, broke back in, and tough for Jeff Kinney to call that a ball, but the Mariners will take the base runner.
So that draws in Daniel Rivera, the rising senior at Kansas State. 0 for 3 in that 2-1 loss at Orleans last night. Harwich had that 1-0 lead going into the bottom of the 9th inning on the solo home run from Ali Camadillo. For Rivera, closed out the regular season, 8 hits, 8 walks, 4 RBIs in his last 10 games. Another fastball tried high and misses that time to make it 1-1. Rivera earned his 2nd consecutive multiple hit game to close the regular season. 2 hits, integral to the Mariners' 3-2 win at Brewster. That was a tough place for the Mariners to win this season, as opposed to Harwich taking its first 2 meetings with the Firebirds at Eldridge Park. A 10-3 victory and 12 runs the second time out. But Orleans has strengthened it, won a considerable more games in July. 7-win improvement from June to July. Mentioned earlier how much the Firebirds have improved from last season to this season. Made 15 wins in July despite losing 6 of their first 8 games, but Orleans, after winning 18 last year, now here with 25. Still not away here for Romero, and he can't get the strikeout as it's too high for Rivera. It's 3-2. Well, this is a problem that Harwich can capitalize on, taking Romero to deep counts here after he dealt a 3-ball count to LeCroy and walked him. Rivera looking for a similar outcome here if he's unable to draw on a base hit. Biggest pitch here for Romero on 3-2, and it's lopped back behind home plate. Good pitch for Rivera to swing at as it was located just in the inner corner. Ali Camadillo due up here. The Mariners want to be able to facilitate for their leadoff hitter who gave them their only run last night. Gorgeous night for Game 2 here in what just might be the final for the Mariners this season as they look to keep their hopes alive and force a Game 3 tomorrow. 80 degrees and mostly cloudy. Rivera lines it over to the left side and through for a base hit. LeCroy will hold at second as Mariners do have traffic on the base pass for Ali Camadillo of Texas A&M.
And this is exactly what you want if you're Steve Engler, a situation where you have runners on with nobody away. And I mean, you think back to those last couple games of the season against Whitey and Brewster, the Mariners started to play a little more small ball. We saw some bunts, some hit and runs, stolen bases, and lo and behold, it worked really well. They were able to win both those matchups, and Ali, a guy who, yes, is an all-star, yes, is a good hitter, and he's probably going to come out swinging in this at-bat, but I think you got to consider maybe dropping one down for Kevin Keister coming up, who's had the best average in the order for the Mariners, a guy who can drive in 2 runs with 1 swing of the bat, but maybe too early for the Mariners to consider a bunt.
And he shows it here as this is over towards the third baseman, and Stallman gets it onto first, and it gets the job done. 1 away, and 2 in scoring position in LeCroy and Rivera. And that's what you need if you're going to be the leadoff hitter to provide something versatile, and Camarillo did just that.
Yeah, Ali Camarillo doing his job there, and I guess I kind of manifested that into reality. I mean, a really good job by Camarillo to get that down, and Steve Engler understanding that he needs to do whatever it takes. His back's against the wall. He can't be giving guys shots to swing. He can't be giving away free outs to the defense, and good job by Ali that time to advance the runners, and now a lot of ways you can score them with one of your best hitters up at the plate.
Keister really took off with a 3-run home run against Yarmouth Dennis as he lifts it out towards center field in the direction of King. And that's in for a sacrifice fly as Talmadge Lecroy, the South Carolina product, will tag Rivera into third. And it's a new ball game as the Mariners have tied it up with a sacrifice fly from Kevin Keister. And it's 1-1.
Doing your job once again. Back-to-back guys just doing their role, cashing in on what they can, capitalizing on opportunities that the Firebirds have given them. Execution was perfect that time, and now you got a chance to take the lead with Ethan Anderson digging in.
First baseman from Virginia.
So the sacrifice bunt pays off here for Camarillo as Ethan Anderson steps up. The tying run already in, and they'll go ahead run in Rivera over at third. Anderson struck out swinging in the first as he rips it to the right side off the glove of the first baseman and Hallback. It's an RBI base hit for Ethan Anderson as Rivera comes across the score, and the Mariners have their second lead at the series at 2-1.
There you go. Finding ways to get on base, and it works out. I mean, good things happen when you swing the bat, and that time a really good job by Ethan Anderson to find it in that 4-3 hold, get it into right field off the glove, and the Mariners, just like that, back in front.
Neither team scored until the 6th inning last night on the leadoff solo bomb from Ali Camarillo as Devin Obi steps up and looks to additional run here for the Mariners. Grounded out 6-3 to close the first. And he works with Anderson on first here on the 2-out RBI knock. Harwich, a team in game one that went 5 for 14 with 2 outs. And you mentioned the Mariners finding some smaller angles. They also improved at their 2-out hitting across those road victories against Brewster and Yarmouth Dennis, a pair of 1-run victories for that matter. So 1-2 here to Devin Obi. Took the starter for Orleans and Romero to a 3-1 count back in the first before he was a victim of a ground out to close out the first. Orleans on the board first here, as Harwich got on the board first last night. A 2-out RBI base hit from Eddie Micheletti Jr., as Harwich has mirrored that here. The runner takes off, the 1-2, a cut and a miss, as Obi goes down on strikes for the first time here today. But a sacrifice fly from Kevin Keister and a 2-out RBI hit from Ethan Anderson gives the Mariners a 2-1 advantage going into the 4th inning here at White House Field. Their backs are against the wall, and they'll turn back to Tom Shimoleski to try and keep it that way as you're watching Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. A pair of runs and a pair of hits, and the Harwich Mariners are ahead for the second time here in the series after falling in walk-off fashion 2-1 last night. Matt Hallback due up against the left-hander Tom Shimoleski of Princeton. And over to my broadcast partner for the play-by-play in the middle innings, Devin Dobek. Devin, what a contest here at White House Field.
Yeah, nice for the Mariners to jump out in front. Wyatt now leading 2-1 heading into the middle third, and you just got to win the innings. So far, each team's won an inning, but the Mariners with a bigger win, and they have a bigger lead on the scoreboard. 2-1, where we stand, and Matt Halbeck fouls off the first pitch he sees. It's 0-1. Chmielewski thus far has been able to tally 3 strikeouts. He's able to face the minimum in the third thanks to a ground ball double play, 4-6-3, as that one's hit slowly over to Rivera. He goes on to first, and it goes awry over towards the Orleans Firebirds dugout, and it's going to be ruled a base hit, as probably would have been dug out anyway by Matt Halbeck. And there's a runner on with nobody away.
Talked about it last night, just the finer details. Ali Camarillo missing the ground ball at short to end the game for Cole Rowlands, looking for that second save on the season. So, as you mentioned, kind of going inning by inning, Devin, and winning them just one by one. Of course, you have to look to just getting off to the good starts as well. Rivera wishes he had that back.
We turn to Eddie Micheletti Jr., who put the Firebirds on the scoreboard with an RBI single, I should say, as he takes strike one on the outside corner. Kelly Nicholson, nothing but good things to say about him. He says you can see it after he hits a home run or after he scores a run. He gets fired up. It's high energy. It's passionate. Got a little Pete Rose in him. Speaks very highly of Micheletti Jr. And another chance to move the runners around with nobody away. Chmielewski taking a few looks over at Halbeck down at first base, being held on by Ethan Anderson. Eddie King Jr. on deck, due up in the inning. Firebirds trying to regain that run they lost, as next pitch fouled off, and it's 0-2. Micheletti Jr., 6'1", 205-pound rising senior, native of Wilmington, Delaware, about 40 minutes outside of Philly. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Nope, it's going to be another pickoff attempt, and back in there with a hand-first dive is Micheletti Jr.
I'm surprised that they're trying to go too many times. I shouldn't say too many, but an excessive number of times over to the leading runner. Orleans only with 40 stolen bases on the year. It's the second fewest in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
0-2 is going to be grounded over to the second baseman, Rivera. Glove flip onto short for one, over to first, and it's not in time. Almost a really pretty 4-6-3 double play, but unfortunately the throw just a half second too late. The Mariners will settle for the lead runner. There's one away.
And Rivera actually made up with a little bit of time. You notice on the transfer how quickly he got out of the glove, but it was just a really slow-moving ball. Had Rivera had a faster one to work with as he was out in front of it, it probably would have been that timely 4-6-3 double play.
Especially with the speed Micheletti has, it's a really difficult one to spin, and that time, even with a glove flip, unable to get it done. Eddie King Jr.'s turn. He digs in. He struck out swinging back in the first. He flies this one out in a deep right field. An awkward angle for Lambros going back. Makes the catch. Had to switch shoulders and turn his entire body around. That's not an easy task to do while you're tracking the ball in the sun, but he gets it done. And there's 2 down.
Underhand catch as well. You notice he didn't even use the backside. Went right into the palm, and you take the outs if you can get them. Again, it's just about winning the outs or winning the innings with the outs from your defense to support Chmielewski, who needs another quick inning here.
So that brings up Brandon Stallman. Third baseman struck out swinging back in the second inning. As the pitch from Chmielewski is going to be a check swing. Did he go? Yes, so says the third base umpire and Chris Engstrand, so it's 0-1. Leadoff single for Matt Halbeck. He was retired on a fielder's choice hit by Eddie Micheletti Jr., who resides on first now. Then a fly out by Eddie Kings, where we stand 1-2 away. A pick-off attempt over at first. Back in there standing is going to be Micheletti Jr. Owen Carpellotti on deck for the Firebirds. Orleans trying to tie this game up or take the lead, as that one misses outside. It's a ball and a strike to Stallman. Stallman out of UNC Charlotte. Nickname is Super Stallman. 2 seasons at the State Fair Community College, which is about 2.5 hours from his home.
Having 18 multi-hit games and 61 at Charlotte.
2-1s fouled off, and it's 2-2. And the Charlotte 49ers fought out of the loser's bracket. Became just the 3rd team in league history to win the tournament after dropping its first contest and playing in elimination games the rest of the way, Wyatt. So just shows you his tenacity and his willingness to win and help the team. We'll see if he can help them here in the 4th. Firebirds out hitting the M's 4-3, but the Mariners with the edge on the scoreboard 2-1. Another pickoff attempt doesn't work out. Shimoleski looking for just one more strike to end this inning. Stallman struck out swinging at the hands of Shimoleski back in the second. He's set for the 2-2, and it's going to be lifted out into right field. Going out is Lambros to his right, makes the catch, and the side is retired. So a leadoff single from Matt Halbach can't be brought around anywhere. And there's a runner stranded on. We head now to the bottom of the fourth. Still 2-1 in favor of the Mariners. We'll be back in a flash to the house on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Leading off the bottom of the fourth for the Mariners, the catcher from UNC Wilmington.
5-6-7 do it for the Harwich Mariners. Devin Dobek, Wyatt Kopelman along with you, as it'll be Brian Arndt, Elijah Lambros, and Cameron Leary due up with a one-run lead over the Orleans Firebirds in Game 2 of Round 1 here. Other games getting set to become underway. The game out in Bourne also getting started. It's 1-0 Katuitt early on. YD on top of Brewster 3-1, and Hyannis in Falmouth starting in just about 6 minutes. It's a ball and no strikes now to Brian Arndt, who fouled out to the first baseman, and Matt Halbach his first at bat as he flies this one into shallow left center field. Going out is Penny, and he hauls it in for out number 1 here in the fourth. Elijah Lambros now will dig into the batter's box. He struck out swinging back in inning number 2. See what he can do in his second at bat here. Was hitting around the 280 mark for the Mariners at the end of the regular season, a late addition, as he takes strike 1 in at the knees, and it's 0-1. Lambros finished in Harwich, or finished at Maryland rather, with a 288 batting average. Also at 382 for the Mariners. Here comes the 0-2. Checked his swing. Did he go around? No, so says Mike Hinojosa, and Lambros able to stay alive. 375 on base percentage for Lambros this season. Actually did end up hitting 282, excuse me. It's a 1-2 count to the number 6 hitter. 64 total hits this past season as a Maryland Terrapin, including 10 doubles and 14 home runs in his first season there. Was at South Carolina prior to that. Never crossed paths with Lee Croy, who will be headed there. As that one's going to be lifted down the line in left field. Long run for Eddie Micheletti Jr., and it escapes out of play. So we'll do the 1-2 again.
Shimoleski capable of going 6 innings. He got those on June 20th against Brewster. So the key here for the Mariners, just try and keep the at-bats alive here deep enough. Shimoleski doesn't get too fatigued early.
1-2 pitch is going to be popped up, and we stay there at 1-2. Went to Fredericksburg Christian High School in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where he's from. Hit .410 with 5 triples and 14 RBI with 30 runs. As that one's in there, he's rung up strike 3 on the outer part of the plate. Strikeout number 4 for Romero, and there's 2 away.
One particular trend, LeCroy and Rivera, who scored the tying and go-ahead runs, Devin, were both taken to 3-ball counts. So the Mariners, if they can find their pitches early enough in these counts in order to deepen it against Romero here each time, and that can be a great key to extend innings, which the Mariners sorely need to do today.
First pitch now to Cameron Leary is going to miss up high for a ball. It's 1-0. Leary flied out to center field in his first at-bat. Out of Boston College, trying to add to the Harwich offense here. Bethpage, New York native, takes ball 2 up and away. Hit just 158 for the Mariners across his 7 games. Tallied just those 3 hits, 1 extra base hit, which was a double. Also walked 4 times, almost doubling that on-base percentage from the batting average to 364. 2-0 up and away, and it's 3-0. 26 runs batted in and 41 walks in his 3rd year at BC. Career best 258 this past season, improving from a 237 and prior to that a 193 average. 3-0 pitch. He's going to miss up high, and it's ball 4. So a runner on with 2 outs for Talmadge LeCroy.
Each starting pitcher, Devin, has faced at least 6 in 1 inning. Shimoleski faced 7 in the first, and Romero with 6 in the third as the Mariners got that sac bunt, the sacrifice fly, and the RBI hit. So if they can find ways to continue to settle down this game, then it's probably their game to pitch out of.
First pitch to LeCroy in there at the letters. It's 0-1. LeCroy walked, came around to score the first run back in the 3rd inning, led off that inning, and when you can have a guy like LeCroy dig into the box and give you everything he's got in the bottom of the order, I mean, makes a coach really happy. As here's a stolen base attempt, and in there is going to be Cameron Leary. Big one that time, his 4th as a Mariner, and now someone in scoring position for LeCroy.
Leary was certainly invaluable with his hitting uniqueness in that win at Brewster, and his stolen base prowess can be something that really helps the Mariners down the stretch.
Hitting .250 this season for the Mariners across his 9 games. 6 hits in that time frame, also 6 walks of .464 on base percentage. As he swings and misses at the 0-2 pitch, it's a 3-pitch strikeout from Ivan Romero, number 5 for him in the ball game, and he's now matched the inning count that he went against Harwich in the 12-0 victory. Mariners are on top, though, 2-1. As we head now to the 5th inning, you're listening to Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Owen Carpellotti, 2 up for the Firebirds. He grounded out to the first baseman, Ethan Anderson, back in inning number 2 and set for his second at-bat here in the 5th. Moving right along through this one as it's called to the bullpen for the Mariners. Ball 1 misses up high. It'll be Griffin Kern to the hill out of Quincy, Illinois. Went to Quincy Notre Dame High School. Rising junior, 6'3", 225-pound left-hander, as this one's going to be lined on one bounce over to Keister. Long throw across the diamond, and it's in time. 1 up, 1 down for Griffin Kern. And Wyatt, we talked about his last outing a little bit during the break. I mean, a guy who came in and shoved across his 2 appearances for the Mariners, has a record of 1-0, has not surrendered an earned run, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, and just 1 hit. I mean, for a guy that didn't go to a Power 5 school, not even a Division I school for that matter, really impressive what we saw from Kern and trying to follow it up with a long-term relief appearance here tonight.
It's an integral left-hander in the bullpen to look to when you're not going to go to Colin Rothermel or even perhaps Scott Ellis, a couple other options. And when you consider what Griffin Kern brings, just such a command on the slider. Saw Will Jones, another prominent left-hander, make his debut a few nights ago in Brewster, but the Mariners relievers entered with a 2.5 ERA into the postseason, that is, and this is one reason why. I mean, so dominant against Yarmouth Dennis, one of the top hitting teams in the league.
Next pitch misses outside. It's a ball and a strike now. Fenwick Trimble digging in. He flew out to center field in his first at-bat, which came back in the 2nd inning. Trimble out of James Madison University. Next pitch, he swings and misses at the off-speed up in the zone. It's 1-2. Final line for Tom Shimoleski, 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts to 1 walk. Definitely probably would have liked to go a little bit longer, but Steve not taking any chances here in the postseason goes to the pen. A guy like Kern who's been fantastic. 1-2, fought off, and we stay there. Trimble this past summer played for the Winchester Royals in the Valley Baseball League. Across his 22 games, hit just 189 with a 307 on-base percentage. Here comes the 1-2. Breaking ball, foul tip, but Arndt can't hang on, and so staying alive is going to be Trimble. His father, Jim, played basketball and football at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. And South, who's his brother, actually is currently on the George Mason baseball team. Finished his 3rd season there. As that one's going to be filed back, and so we stay at 1-2 once more.
He's someone who is so unique in his ability to make adjustments. James Madison, assistant, Mike Roberts said he can just mention something to him. Will do it pretty quickly. A lot of others just can't do that at this collegiate level.
1-2 misses way outside, and it's 2-2. This past season hit .342 at James Madison. Across his 56 games, had 22 doubles and 13 homers, along with 52 runs batted in. Swiped 9 bases as well. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Breaking ball on the outside corner. Got him. Beautiful pitch from Griffin Kern, and he picks up his first strikeout here in the 5th. And there's going to be 2 away now.
And it's the first since the first out of the 2nd, Devin, so it tells you a lot about how the defense was able to complement Shimoleski. You got that inning 4-6-3 double play, and just going back to Kern, 4 1/3 scoreless relief innings, 2 strikeouts in that 7-6 comeback win at Yarmouth Dennis. That likely doesn't happen without that extensive support of the bullpen, which he'll likely replicate here today.
Joe Oyama, the all-star second baseman, will dig in. Played all 9 innings for the East Division as he lines that one into the glove of Ethan Henderson. What a play to end the inning. A full extension to take away a base hit from Joe Oyama, and it's a 1-2-3 clean 5th for the pitcher and Griffin Kern out of relief. Halfway home here in Harwich. Score 2-1 in favor of the Mariners. We'll be back in a flash for the home half of the 5th. On the other side, you're listening to Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. To the bottom of the 5th we go. It'll be 9-1-2 for the Harwich Mariners. Daniel Rivera, Ali Camarillo, and Kevin Keister do up. Mariners clinging to that 1-run lead, but it might not be enough. Orleans, a team who's very streaky offensively, out hitting the Mariners currently as it stands 4-3. But Harwich with the slim advantage on the scoreboard in front of a really good crowd here at White House Field on a beautiful Saturday evening. First pitch from Romero here in the 5th. Misses down low for a ball. It's 1-0. Kelly Nicholson, a guy who loves to fire through his bullpen, really utilize it. We've seen him throw 6-7 pitchers in a ball game. But against the Mariners in their 3-game win streak dating into the postseason, he's really just relied on 2 or 3 guys to shove throughout the whole outing, and Romero out there now for the 5th.
And you notice it doesn't guarantee any.
That one's going to be cracked out in the shallow right field. Coming in is Trimble, and he'll make the catch for out number 1. But Wyatt, you were saying.
As I was just starting to get at, it doesn't come with any particular warranted guarantee. You notice all the typical starting pitchers. You have some smaller left-handers who try and go more to the fastball, like Derek Clark out of Northwood, set to go to West Virginia. Made his final start of the year, 7 innings. He earned that. And for Nicholson, it's just all about that consistent elevation in performance as well as mentality on the mound. And then you go into last night as well, an excellent outing out of Grayson Carter going long than 5 innings. So Orleans, as much as they have with Sean Matson in the bullpen and a couple of other power-dealing right-handers, there's a lot to be earned out of that starting rotation.
Ali Camarillo's turn, and he pops up the first pitch he sees out in the right field. Coming in once again is Trimble, and he'll put it away. Back-to-back pitches, back-to-back outs, back-to-back right field catches. Fenwick Trimble helping out his pitcher, and there's 2 down.
Yarmouth Dennis ahead 3-1. Brewster on the board at Stony Brook Fields, running out of time in the bottom of the 9th. Katuitt on top of Bourne, 3-0 at Dorn Park, just in the early innings there. And the Hyannis Harbor Hawks behind 2-1 against the Falmouth Commodores in the 2nd.
So everyone who lost yesterday is winning today.
Yeah.
That's the Cape Cod Baseball League postseason for you. First pitch to Kevin Keister, breaking ball runs inside, and it's 1-0. I mean, yeah, it really is anyone's game on any given day. And, I mean, if that scoreboard doesn't tell you that, I don't know what will. 1-0 pitch is going to be lined into right field for a base hit. Kevin Keister checking in with his 2nd hit of the ball game, and now the Mariners with a runner on and 2 away.
Now you mentioned checking him in. He's here. He has the infield single. He had the sacrifice fly to get Harwich into a tie in the 3rd, and now represents the 3rd run of the game. Ethan Anderson, we've talked about it extensively over the last 10 games, how consistent he's been in different situational hitting, and that valuable lefty bat here, as Orleans doesn't seem to be playing too much to pull here, Devin. All the second baseman and Oyama's back.
First pitch to Anderson's going to be blasted out in a deep center field. Going back is King, and he makes the catch, out number 3. Anderson gave that one a ride, but it's just going to be allowed out number 3. At the end of 5, it's the Mariners 2, the Firebirds 1. We'll be back in a flash. Game 2 in round 1 of the Cape Cod Baseball League postseason coming back your way for the 6th inning on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Leading off the top of the 6th.
So we move into the 6th inning. It'll be Justin Rubin, Jack Penny, and Matt Halbach Due up for the Firebirds. 2-3-4, a dangerous part of the lineup, and Ruben, a guy who put together a nice little game yesterday. Got a little frustrated with the home plate umpire and Chris Ingstrand, but was able to prevail with a big hit in the 9th inning to tie the ball game. Went 2 for 5 with a fielder's choice. Also struck out and flied out. He's behind in the count 0-1 here against Griffin Kern back out there for his 2nd inning of work. He had a 1-2-3 fifth, trying to build on that here in inning number 6 of game 2. Still checking on those scores for you in the Cape Cod Baseball League. They haven't changed from why it's updated. That one's popped into foul territory, and Ethan Anderson is there for out number 1. 4 up, 4 down. Griffin Kern picking up right where he left off in YD. And there's 1 out for Jack Penny.
Katuitt expanding its lead to 4 runs at home, or on the road, pardon me, folks, at Doran Park after falling 14-8 last night. Brewster won 18-7, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, and Devin 13-6 win for the Harbor Hawks, turning into a deficit here for Hyannis at 2-1 in the 2nd.
Jack Penny breaks his bat and grounds this one over to the shortstop Camarillo on the run, makes the throw across the diamond, a long stretch for Anderson, but he's able to help out Camarillo, and the 10th player award, that is Ali Camarillo, for the guy who contributes most on and off the field, able to make that play. He was awarded that pregame. Pretty special moment for him, a guy who's kind of been the ultimate Mariner next to Brian Arndt. I mean, a guy who has the most at-bats on the team, has been here since day 1 and really contributed. An East All-Star, and the accolades just mounting up for him here this summer as he heads into a spring with Texas A&M.
He's made some unconscionable, timely hits on the offensive side, and then defensively, he's either matched or surpassed that at certain points this season. Remember, he had the spinning throw last night over at short, an example of his hard work.
It's going to be a 1-1 count as Brian Arndt can't hang on to that one. Griffin Kern looking for another 1-2-3 inning here in the 6th. He got a 1-2-3 fifth, and now 2 up, 2 down in the 6th. Mariners trying to get that offense back up and put something into motion. 1-1 is going to be grounded over to Daniel Rivera. Sliding stop on the first, and it's not on line. Ethan Anderson's foot was pulled off the bag. A tremendous stop by Daniel Rivera as that ball was smoked into the hole. But unfortunately, the throw just offline, and it'll be an error charged to Daniel Rivera. First one of the ball game.
And Steve Englert, the 20th year skipper for the Mariners, is going to go speak his mind to Mike Hinojosa, the first base umpire here today, about the timing on that. Anderson was kind of just pulled off the bag, and it's recurred a couple of times over the final 10 games of the regular season. Anderson has gotten all but 1 start at first base this year, as looks like Hinojosa and Jeff Kane, the home plate umpire, now get together. Same umpiring crew from last night, important to note.
Yeah, no, they all just shifted around a little bit, but they're going to talk this over and everybody compare what they saw down at first base. I wouldn't be surprised if this was overturned by Jeff Kinney, a guy who had a really good angle at the first base bag, but I don't think Mickey Garcia or Chris Ingstrand are going to be able to have much say in it. And so ultimately, they will rule the runner safe, saying that Anderson was pulled off the base. Englert flaps his hand in disgust at the call, but we'll have to play on, as it's an error charged to Rivera, and brings up Eddie Micheletti Jr. here with 2 outs and a runner on. Griffin Kern set to face the lefty, and Micheletti Jr. on the day is 1 for 2 with a single, and he grounded into a fielder's choice. First pitch runs way inside, and it's 1-0. Eddie Micheletti Jr., a native of Wilmington, Delaware, hit .274 this past season for the Firebirds across his 41 games played. That is second highest among the active Orleans Firebirds, behind just Jack Penny with 42. Strike is located in there, and it's 1-1. After Micheletti Jr., should we get there? It's Eddie King Jr. on deck for the Birds, as next pitch is going to be spoiled. Look to be on the middle in part of the plate, and it becomes 1-2.
Harwich with 16 wins this season when committing 1 or no errors in the ball game. So the Mariners, despite committing 2 last night, can ill afford to give away extra outs here to the Harwich or to the Orleans Firebirds.
1-2's cut on a miss. Down goes Micheletti Jr. And that will be strike 3. Second strikeout for Griffin Kern. Still is not allowed a hit through his 2 innings. As the Mariners taking their 2-1 lead into the home half of the 6th. We'll be back in a moment to the house on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Leading off the bottom of the 6th for Harwich.
Into the 6th inning we go. It'll be Devin Obie, Brian Arndt, and Elijah Lambros due up for the Harwich Mariners. Leading in the ball game 2-1 as Obie on the day 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout. Still looking for his first hit in the postseason. As Romero's back out there for his 6th inning of work. And first pitch is a check swing strike for Devin Obie, and it's 0-1.
Mariners without a run since the 3rd inning. Need some hits here as well. They have 1 hit since then, and it's looked like a pretty promising outing if you take away that 3rd inning because Romero only allowed 1 base runner the first 2 innings and has only allowed 2 since that 3rd.
1-1 is going to be fouled softly over towards the Mariner dugout, and it's ball and 2 strikes to Devin Obie. Obie this season hitting .250 for the Mariners in his 35 games. Scored 19 runs. Also had 23 runs batted in. That 30 hits he has is 2nd on the team, behind just Ali Camarillo with 31. 1-2 to Obie. Checked his swing. Did he go around? No, says Mike Hinojosa, and so count moves to 2-2. Romero still throwing hard, right above 90 miles per hour here in the 6th inning. Kelly letting his starter go as that one just misses the inside corner. It's 3-2. Does not look like there's anyone actively throwing for the Birds. Not sure if they have someone loose or if they're just waiting for the first indication of trouble from Romero to make the move, but we shall see. Payoff pitch is going to be popped up into right field. To his left is Trimble, and he makes the catch over towards the line for out number 1.
Good defensive hack that time from Obie, but Romero did a good job of keeping the fastball low in the zone, just under 95 miles an hour. And it's been a tough start for Obie after he went 0 for 4 last night with a pair of strikeouts. But still enough time left in this game where he can reemerge at least once and try and give the Mariners another hit. Arndt, meanwhile, tasked with giving that 5th hit here, looking for his first knock.
Brian Arndt will dig in. He was given the Mariners Sportsmanship Award earlier before the game, and definitely an honor that he doesn't take lightly. A guy who has serious integrity, has really done everything he can to be a leader in his 2nd year here in Harwich, and hitting .250 this season, the all-star starter for the East. Not too many people more deserving as the 1-0 is fouled off, and it's 1-1. Brian Arndt, 2 home runs this season to go along with his 12 RBI. 6'2", 210-pound right-handed hitting catcher. Native of Holly Springs, North Carolina, fouls it off himself, and it's going to be a ball and 2 strikes now. Elijah Lambros on deck for the M's, still leading 2-1 here in Game 2. 4 hits, a side, and an error for the Mariners. 1-2 pitch to Arnes, cut on a miss. He goes down swinging and falls to 0 for 3 on the day. It's not been the Mariners All-Stars days at the plate. They are a combined 0 for 8 with a sacrifice bunt from Ali Camarillo. And yeah, they're just really struggling, and it's just been a tough offensive day. That's why the pace of this game moving right along, Wyatt.
I mean, it's hard for the Mariners when they're expecting to at least provide a different level of offense than what they did last night. Solo home run from Camarillo. Try and support Griffin Kern, who's been excellent thus far. But in the middle of the lineup where you expect the majority of your offense to hail from, it's been tough with the numerous strikeouts have been dealt sporadically throughout the game.
1-1, bounced in the dirt, and it becomes 2-1 to Elijah Lambros. Lambros on the day has struck out both looking and swinging. Most recently came in the 4th. Romero has not been his friend out on the mound, looking to go 6 full here. Here's the 2-1, and it's going to miss down low, 3-1.
Couple of rare mislocated pitches here from Romero, especially as he looks for that second win on the season.
Lambros carrying a team-high 9-game on-base streak into today, leading Ali Camarillo, who has just 6. 3-1 pitch is going to be pounded to the left, but foul. Actually might have got a piece of our photographer, Anders Sailing, who had to escape out of the way. And so the count now moves to 3-2. Romero comes set at the waist, now into his windup. Here's the payoff, and it's going to be grounded over to the third baseman in Stallman on a couple bounces, over to first in time. 5-3 put out to end a 1-2-3-6. Ivan Romero looking as sharp as he did in inning number 1, but the Mariners still on top by a score of 2-1. To the final third of the ball game we go. We'll be back in a few moments to the house on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. To the 7th inning we go. It'll be Eddie King Jr. to lead things off in the final third of the ball game as Kern returns back to the hill in a 2-1 lead. His Mariners on top, and Wyatt Kopelman will take over the play-by-play duties for the rest of the ball game. Wyatt, over to you.
All right, Devin. Well, the Mariners with their backs against the walls here, looking to extend their 20-win season here, as this one's a chopper over towards the left side. Camarillo on a few bounces onto first, and it's in time to beat the Louisville outfielder and Eddie King Jr. as he falls to 0 for 3. Harwich facing an Orleans team that, despite losing 6 of its first 8, really turned it around in the second half of the season, despite having no second-round playoff appearances since 2018 under Kelly Nicholson. As that turns it over here to Brandon Stallman, another 0 for 2 hitter here in the lineup for the Firebirds. Just 4 hits thus far for Orleans. Griffin Kern, meanwhile, back on the mounds, has dealt 2 full innings thus far. He's gotten 2 strikeouts. Faced the minimum in the 5th, faced 4 back in the 6th. Fastball just inside that time. Orleans keeping Harwich to 2 runs here after holding the Mariners to just 1 last night, a solo bomb from Ali Camarillo. And those are his last 2 home runs on the season. There's a beautiful slider as it's 1-2 here. Kern just going under 80 miles per hour there. The junior out of Quincy at Division II baseball, coming off of 4 1/3 scoreless relief innings against Yarmouth Dennis. Here's a chopper over towards the right side again as a flip over to first, and it's not in time. Ethan Anderson tasked once again with a slow-moving ground ball, and the 3-1 play not in force enough as it's a 1-out base hit here for Stahlman, his first knock in the game.
Yeah, and couldn't have come at a much better time for the Firebirds. A 1-out single to put traffic on, and Stahlman, a guy who can run, not a huge base stealer, but got to be wary of him. I mean, yeah, no one's safe at this point, and especially when you got the bottom of the order coming up, small ball could be in play, and Harwich just got to find a way to make the play and take the sure out. Don't try anything fancy here.
Well, Stahlman was hitting just under 293 as this one shot into center field, falling quickly in front of Obi as Stahlman into second here. And back-to-back hits here from Stahlman and Owen Carapalati, and there's a 1-out rally looming here against the left-hander in Kern.
Reminds me a little bit of last night, a little deja vu, kind of like the Jaws fin sailing through the water, coming for the Mariners, and they got to figure it out quickly. No one actively throwing in the bullpen, so this inning's for Kern. He's got to power through, and the Division II guy's got to work his way and find a way to get out. 9-hitter in Fenwick Trimble is a must retire. Can't go facing Joe Oyama with the bases loaded or worse and just 1 down.
New challenge on the mound every time for Kern, the reliever out of Quincy at 6'3", 225 as Fenwick Trimble, the James Madison right fielder, fouls it back. Ground ball double play could get Kern out of a mini jam here after going 7-2 for Quincy this past season up in Illinois. Started all 15 games he appeared in. Dealt 96 strikeouts to just 33 walks. In his season debut here for Harwich, a scoreless inning, struck out the side in his season debut, that 12-run victory over Chatham. And then he dealt 4 1/3 scoreless relief innings with 2 strikeouts in that 7-6 come-from-behind victory at Yarmouth Dennis, where the Mariners looked to 2 quick home runs from Kevin Keister, a 3-run bomb, and a solo shot from Devin Obi. Kern was credited with the win, but now facing a taller task here.
Oh, boy.
His team in the playoffs, it's 3-1 here.
I mean, you can't walk this guy. You
Nope.
got to pitch to Trimble. If he puts it in play and beats you, that is what it is. But if you walk the bases loaded with Joe Oyama coming up, you're just asking for trouble.
3 balls and a strike, still just 1 away. Stahlman on second, Carapalati on first. Kern on 3-1, and it's fouled back as he'll deal his first payoff pitch here today. It's the 9-hitter in Fenwick Trimble, who has hit left-handers quite well this season, 255, and has 13 RBIs with runners in scoring position for the Firebirds this year. Orleans trailed by a run going into the bottom of the 9th last night. Now Kern looking for a strikeout. This one's looped out into center field. Obi makes the play. No sacrifice hit here alive for the Firebirds as the runners stay put, as they're 2 away here for the Quincy product.
Big out. Big out for Griffin Kern to get, and it came with contact. That's sometimes what you got to do to get it done. Can't always be fancy, and nonetheless, an out's an out, and now you're going to have to go through one of the toughest hitters in the Cape Cod Baseball League, Joe Oyama, and he's been swinging it hot tonight. Just 1 for 3, but he also had a line out that was robbed by Ethan Anderson.
Orleans with 6 hits over the final 4 innings last night, as Oyama thought about it for a moment. 2 runs on 4 hits in the 9th inning last night. Bases loaded against Cole Rowland was just a strikeout or a ground ball out away. That one rolled over towards the right side. Rivera at the lip of the outfield grass onto first, and it's in time. The first base umpire in Mike Hinojosa got a good look at it as Ethan Anderson just kept that back foot on the bag. As Griffin Kern out of Quincy gets out of a mini jam, he strands 2 as Orleans comes up and scores no runs on 2 hits, no errors, and they still trail 2-1 after 6.5 innings here at White House Field. This is the Harwich Mariners postseason run on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Harwich still ahead 2-1 with its backs against the wall in game 2 here at White House Fields. Looking to pull out another close win here. Took a 1-run lead into the bottom of the 9th inning last night before 4 hits gave the Orleans Firebirds the opening game of the first round of the Cape Cod East Division playoffs here. Cameron Leary, Talmadge, LeCroy, Daniel Rivera due up against a new right-handed pitcher, the first reliever for Orleans, in the 6'5", 225 Jaden Winter out of East Carolina. Spikes in the dirt that time. Leary 0 for 1 here today, earned a 2-out walk back in the 4th before Ivan Romero, the starter, was able to get his 5th strikeout to keep the Mariners in a 1-run lead. Quickly 2-0 here. A 4.5 ERA, has pitched just 2 innings this season with 1 strikeout. Relatively new addition here to the bullpen for Kelly Nicholson, the longtime manager of the Orleans Firebirds. And meanwhile, the final line on Romero had a strong outing for the postseason. He had already seen this Harwich lineup once this season, Devin, and he only allowed 2 earned runs on the sacrifice fly and the RBI hit from Ethan Anderson. Surrendered only 2 walks, issued 6 strikeouts through 6 innings. Quite efficient at particular pockets of the start.
Yeah, absolutely. He was sensational, and now it's going to come down to Winter, a guy who's trying the tough task of holding the deficit where it's at and hoping his offense can come through for him.
This might be an opportunity for him here, and it's instead just foul out of play. So a new count here after he was ahead in the count, 2 balls to no strikes against Leary. Owns the only hitting streak on the Mariners right now, given that Harwich got 5 hits for 1 run last night. Leary on a 2-game hitting streak now, and that is part of a 4-game on-base streak here. Alec Amadio was the leading batter in the regular season series, 6 for 23, and elevated last night, 2-2 on the way, and it's taken on the inner half just at the belt as Leary got caught looking, and it's the first strikeout here for Winter.
Really good pitch that time, located it perfectly, and with Leary crowding the plate, not much room there to get a swing off, and he pays the price that you get for crowding the plate, rung up for strike 3.
So after 4 straight were retired by the starter and Ivan Romero out of San Diego, a good start here for Winter to battle back in the count. Misses outside with a fastball here to Talmadge LeCroy. 0 for 1 here today, earned a leadoff walk back in the 3rd and came across the score on the sacrifice fly from Kevin Keister to tie up the ball game. Right immediately before Ethan Anderson got a 2-out RBI base hit. And speaking of individual productivity, Travis Bazana out of Oregon State, not only with 1 league award, but 2, he was tabbed as the league MVP in addition to winning the batting title as well. A monstrous year for the Oregon State product out of the Pac-12. Dominant year for Oregon State this past season in 61 games. Hit .374, slugged .622, and he translated that quite well to Falmouth in his first season with the Commodores of the Cape Cod West Division. .375 he hit for 51 total hits, 6 doubles, 2 triples, 6 home runs. About as consistent of a season as you can get. We talked a little bit about Joe Oyama earlier with him having 6 triples at one point in the season, right just past the halfway mark of the year. Bazan also had 18 walks, 31 RBIs, and that is the production that Falmouth has needed in order to sneak into the playoffs. 24-18-2 finished in the West this year. Winter trying for another strikeout. This one is lofted out towards right center field. Trimble, the right fielder, James Madison, comes in to make the catch. 2 up and 2 away here for Winter, really doing a good job of getting quick outs.
Yeah, no, and that's what you want out of your reliever, especially in a game this tight. I mean, 6 outs to work with for Orleans to find a way to stretch across at minimum 1, and Rivera now tasked with getting on base with 2 away against a guy who's shown he can pick up right where Romero left off.
And as you mentioned, picking up where pitchers leave off, Tom Shimleski only giving up 1 earned run. It was Orleans' only back in the 1st on an RBI base hit from Eddie Micheletti. Since then, Griffin Kern has done a superb job of filling in. Has only allowed 3 base runners with 2 hits, and one of them actually just an error. So Kern with just a couple hits allowed back in the 7th, worked out of mini jam with just 1 in scoring position. Fastball missing here to Daniel Rivera, the Southern New Hampshire transfer, who actually combined for nearly 80 stolen bases with his newer Mariners teammate in Cam Carraher for Southern New Hampshire. Loops this one back over towards the right side, right in front of first base coach Mike Connolly, ranging under and Hallback, and the first baseman makes the catch for a 1-2-3 job here for Winter, the first reliever for Orleans, as 7 of the last 7 have been retired here by Orleans pitching, as the Mariners still hold a tight 2-1 lead going into the 8th inning. 6 hits for Orleans, 4 hits for the Mariners, as these two teams in place for a close ending here at White House Field. Kern back out onto the mound. The southpaw Quincy looking for a quick inning here in the 8th. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Top of the 8th for Orleans, the designated
13 combined hits between the Orleans Firebirds and the Harwich Mariners in the opening game of the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball playoffs last night at Eldridge Park. Orleans found 2 runs late. Harwich ahead 2-1 here in the 8th inning in what has been 10 combined hits between two ball clubs that have been solid defensively thus far. Just one error between the two as Justin Rubin looks at a breaking ball low for strike 1. Griffin Kern, the left-hander, back out on the mound. Trying not to get into a mini jam here as he left 2 on and Stallman and Carl Pilati back in the 7th. This one fouled away as it's 0-2 here to the Virginia product out of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. His hitting left-handers quite well this season. One of 2 Orleans batters to actually get 2 hits in Game 1 last night. 4 multi-hit outings in his last 10 games. Someone who can explode quickly in the lineup here as he stays alive at 1-2. So Matthew Boynton warming up here as Griffin Kern might be on his last frame here as it's 2-2.
Yeah, Matthew Boynton's got to get ready to rock here. Kern can only go so deep into this ball game. You don't want to make the same mistake you made last night of hanging your reliever out there too long, which is what ultimately led to the loss.
Rubin, despite having multiple hits last night, 0 for 3 to start here today. Flat out to center in the first. Fouled out to Brian Arndt, the catcher, in the 3rd. And fouled out to Anderson at first in the 6th. Orleans lineup that has just 1 hit over its top 3rd. A big pitch here for Kern out of Quincy. And on 3-2, he misses high with a fastball. So it's a leadoff walk here for Orleans, and it's been a Harwich lineup that has only surrendered 2 walks to this point. And this could be a turning point for the Orleans Firebirds, still looking for that 5th hit on the night.
And yeah, no, big walk that time, especially heading into now Jack Penny and then Matt Halbeck. I mean, it's going to get really difficult here as R.J. Thomas is going to be drawn out of the dugout. And with the leadoff man on, Rubin, a guy who can run. And Harwich got to be real careful. Griffin Kern got to be on a short leash now with Boynton loosening. And comes down to a chess game between Engler and Nicholson at this point.
Kern, to this point, has been terrific with efficiency and getting quick outs. He has allowed just 4 batters to reach, I should say. Single to first back in the 7th, followed by a single to center field, but Orleans was able to stretch across its 2nd run of the game. Orleans here today, not getting too many runners on at consecutive points, has stranded 6 to this point here as Jack Penny looking for that first hit as well after delivering the walk-off single last night for Orleans to win 2-1 in the 9th. Huge chance here to put runners on the corners. Slider just missing inside there to the Wakefield, Massachusetts native. Harwich entering Game 2 with 4.9 runs allowed per game. Just 6 in the Cape Cod Baseball League, but it's done a good job at being able to limit rallies as Penny lofts it out towards left field. Leary, the Boston College product, over towards left. Just in front of the warning track, and a huge out here for Griffin Kern as there's one away here in the 8th.
And it's a price you pay now, as Justin Rubin was already about 3 steps away from second base, hoping that ball would drop in. But Wyatt, if he stays at first base, he's easily tagging, getting to second. It's a base runner's gamble, and unfortunately that time doesn't pay off. Orleans might have cost themselves another 90 feet there.
Kern has kept Orleans quiet through 3 1/3 innings here after relieving Tom Chmielewski in the 5th. The starter for Harwich here today. Both southpaws almost thought a back pick there, but it was to no avail as Ethan Anderson, the first baseman, was not prepared that time. Matt Hall back up here. Hitting the cleanup spot again here today after going 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts last night. Lobs it to the right side. Anderson and the right fielder and will try and let that one get out. Hallback, 286, 4 hits, 2 RBIs versus Harwich in the regular season. A very strong end to the regular season. 4 multi-hit outings in 10 games played. And he has 2 base hits here today in what has been a redeeming afternoon for him. Sophomore to UC San Diego. Cuts and misses just outside of a little slider that time. 1 and 2 here would be a critical strikeout here for Kern. Chmielewski finished with 3. Boynton still warming up. The Murray State product prepared for support. 1-2. Looped over towards the right side in front of the Orleans dugout. Anderson moving. And it just bounced on the top of that dugout. Orleans has done a better job at taking Harwich into some deeper counts, particularly Kern. Kern had to take Fenwick Tribble, the 9-hole hitter, to at least 6 pitches in the 7th. Meanwhile, Hall back here, an opportunity to move another runner into scoring position for the 2nd straight inning as the home plate umpire and Jeff Kinney calls for time as Kelly Nicholson goes to have a word with him.
Not sure exactly what it could be about, Wyatt.
Not sure.
Did you catch anything irregular going on? But Kelly does not seem pleased. I'm not sure what it's about. Maybe it's that the pitcher's not coming set. Maybe he's upset with Griffin Kern's cadence and Halbach not having a chance to get ready. But he looks really upset. An animated argument over there. I'm not even an argument. It looks like Jeff Kinney just taking it, but
it's one-sided.
See if there's any resolution here.
Crowd's grown quiet here at White House Field, near capacity tonight. Harwich, a team with its most wins since 2019. Back in 2016, had 27 wins. Out of the East Division this year, 2 20-win teams, as Brian Arntz was set for another back pick. So 2 balls and 2 strikes here to Matt Hallback. Griffin Kern verging towards 4 innings here. Opportunity for Harwich to turn its 2nd double play if the left-hander of Quincy is able to induce some ground ball contact here. Rubin on first after the leadoff walk. Harwich just clings to that 1-run lead. This one drilled and into left field for a base hit. Hallback providing it at a much-needed time and stopping at second. Rubin. Once again, traffic on the base pass here against the southpaw for Harwich.
Once again, some trouble. There was back-to-back base runners with 1 out back in the 7th. Now 2 on with 1 away here in the 8th, and things getting a little sketchy. And if you're Griffin Kern, got to find a way to just pitch through this batter in Micheletti Jr. Don't dance around him. Hit the zone. No free passes. And Micheletti Jr., a tough customer on the day, 1 for 3 with a single.
You mentioned hitting the zone as well at the right time. This lefty-lefty battle, Micheletti Jr. very capable of driving in a run here. Now Rubin, the tying run at second. George Washington product transferring to Virginia Tech, has 2 years of collegiate eligibility left after leading the Atlantic 10 with 86 hits. The conference's 3rd best batting average. 29 multiple hit games. Orleans needs one here from him. This one a bounce over towards the right side and past the glove of Anderson. Wave around sign here for Rubin as he almost loses the helmet. He scores standing up. Orleans has tied it at 2 on a 1-out RBI knock. And Griffin Kern still works out of the stretch.
The Orleans fans coming to life here. I mean, that was a big piece and a tough one for Ethan Anderson, but you got to knock that down. That was a bit of an Olay that time, and you got to find a way to stay in front of that baseball and knock it down, because now it cost your team a run. You might have had a chance to get an out, and because you didn't square it up, now the game's tied. So things getting a little dicey here in the 8th. Griffin Kern still getting hung out there, and we'll see if he can get out of this. Not going to be easy, though. Need a big strikeout.
And that draws out Steve Englert as Matthew Boynton has been warming for a while. Eddie Micheletti providing his second RBI hit of the game. The first time around, it was a 1-0 lead, and now it has tied the ball game here. 8 hits for Orleans as the sign is made here. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Orleans had remained scoreless since taking the game's first lead at 1-0 on an RBI base hit from Eddie Micheletti Jr. And they look to Micheletti Jr. again to tie the game at 2 here in the 8th as Griffin Kern is removed from the ball game. Still just 1 away here as Dak State, the right-hander Angelo State, makes his 5th appearance on the season after pitching 3 2/3 innings against Chatham with a season-high 5 strikeouts. Runners on the corners here for the Firebirds. A bunt here shown from Eddie King Jr. The infield playing in, and Devin, a crucial point. The Mariners had Matthew Boynton out of Murray State warming up, but instead, Steve Englert decided to go to a different right-hander in Dak State.
He absolutely throws hard, and he's the guy that's going to get the punch out. So a gamble here, but Daith hoping to win the battle. Looks like Orleans trying to squeeze play.
Another bunt shown here, and good awareness by Ethan Anderson at first base. But 2 balls and no strikes here for Eddie King Jr. Hall back on third, Micheletti on first on the game-tying hit to right field. King looking for his first hit on the day. Daith with a critical 2-0 pitch, and he gets a critical swing and a miss as it's 2-1. Bottom third of the order in Brandon Stallman, Owen Carplotti, Fenwick Trimble combining for just 2 hits, and they both arrived back in the 7th. Daith with 8 strikeouts and 9 walks on the season. The 2-1 slams foul as it's a new count. Daith with a fastball at 98 miles per hour that time. Rising senior Angelo State at Division II on the Lone Star Conference. Transferred into the program after going with 5 earned runs at Texas Tech this past season. Pitched just 3 innings in 5 appearances. 2-2 to King. Looped foul. We'll do it again.
And it's so big that Daith was able to clock in that second strike because now you pretty much take the bunt off the table because a foul bunt is an out, and that hurts the Firebirds. So Eddie King Jr. going to have to swing it now, and a guy who's no stranger to the strikeout, and we'll see if Daith can win the battle here.
King Jr. with 11 RBIs, runners in scoring position, trying to give Orleans its second lead. The pitch outside. Try to go back to the fastball that time. Had just 2 strikeouts at Texas Tech, but has been a solid right-hander out of the bullpen for Steve Englert. He's gone 7 2/3 to this point. Trying to get out. Runners on the corners jam here. The payoff. And King Jr. doing an excellent job of fishing at pitches low in the zone here, Devin, after hitting 1 for 3, scored the tying run in the 9th inning last night to help Orleans past the Mariners. Trailed 1-0 after 8.5 innings, and King Jr. stepped up at the right time. Already nearing 10 pitches here in the at-bat. The payoff pitch. And King Jr. continues to battle at pitches low. That time looked like a slider low from Dax Daith, the junior out of Round Rock, Texas. Not having it easy here in the first he's faced here at Eddie King Jr. 11 doubles, 2 triples, 5 home runs for 42 RBIs in his second season at Louisville. Still just 1 away here for Daith. And the payoff again, and it's foul back. Just at 100 miles an hour high in the zone, and King Jr. was able to stay on top of it.
I think their radar is a little off. I think it's got to be a little off. They had our writer Matt Skillings throwing 77 while he was testing it. I don't think it's exactly accurate right now, but good at bat from Eddie King Jr., that's for sure.
3-2 again. Shot deep out towards right field, all the way back to the track, Lambros, and he makes the catch in front of the fence. Tagging from third, Hallback, and he will score on the sacrifice fly. The Orleans Firebirds take their second lead on the game, and it's 3-2.
What an at-bat from Eddie King Jr. Maybe the at-bat of the season for the Orleans Firebirds. I mean, he worked Daith and worked him, and then put one to the deepest part of the ballpark without it going over the fence that he could. Plenty of time for the run to come in and score, and just like that, the Firebirds back out in front.
Didn't need a 9th hit that time, as King Jr. gets his first RBI on the day. Now over to Brandon Stallman. He takes the strike on the inner half. 1 for 3 here today. Got a single to first base back in the 7th. Had 2 runners on here for Orleans until Griffin Kern worked out of a mini jam. A check swing, and he went around. Jeff Kinney getting a good look at it that time as Daith went back to a fastball. Stallman coming off a dominant year at Charlotte, hitting .288 with 18 multi-hit games as the 49ers got 36 wins and into the Clemson Regional in the NCAA tournament. 1 on and 2 out. That one just low. Orleans got back into the game rapidly last night. Today it's been a little bit more gradual aside from the RBI base hit from Eddie Micheletti Jr., his second RBI knock, and the sacrifice fly from Eddie King Jr. I could have made it just more than a 1-run game. The 1-2 inside. Daith going away from the fastball that time. He's gone no more than 3 2/3 innings this year, in which he got his season high in innings pitched against Chatham. Season high 5 strikeouts despite giving up 2 earned runs. Big pitch for him here. The 2-2. Fastball just high. It's a lower part of the order that is trying to find some balance here against the new pitcher in Daith here for the Mariners. Griffin Kern issuing just 1 walk, dealt 2 strikeouts. His line at 4 hits. And the 3-2, now the runners go, and it's inside as it won't matter. Runners on first and second again here in the 8th, and Dax Daith just having a little bit of trouble finding enough command to get some quick outs.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that might be the day for Daith. I mean, it looks like Engler's going to Boynton now, and yeah, really tough outing for Dax Daith. Got just the 1 out and the lead gone, but that run charged to Kern, and So here we go. Mariners continuing to run into some trouble.
Harwich trailing for the second time here in what might be their final game on the season if they're unable to rally back after 2 runs here in the 8th on an RBI single and a sacrifice fly as Dax Staith leaves. Harwich behind 3-2 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Matthew Boynton in for Dax Staith. Now the third reliever in after Daith recorded just 1 out on the sacrifice fly. On second now, Colin Tuft pinch running. Stalemate at first after the 1-out walk. This one from Carapalati, lofted out towards shallow left field. Coming on in Leary, he makes the catch as the side draws to a close. So Matthew Boynton making his latest relief appearance on the season, a near handful here in the second half for the Harwich Mariners. Getting a fly out here against Owen Carapalati, falls to 1 for 4 as Harwich now trailing once again 3-2 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. You're watching the Harwich Mariners postseason run on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
The shortstop from Texas A&M.
Sacrifice fly and an RBI base hit, giving Orleans its second lead of the game. Harwich now trailing 3-2. Jaden Winter back on the mound here after a convincing 6-inning start out of Ivan Romero. Did not go scoreless, but only gave up 2 earned runs as Mariners took their first lead in the third inning. Camadillo up here for the fourth time as he fouls it away to the right side. Steve Angler going to Dax Staith for the final out of the 8th inning. The final line on Griffin Kern. 3 1/3 innings he pitched, 2 earned runs allowed, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Camadillo watches it just outside as it's 1-1 here. The rising junior at Texas A&M. Had the solo home run last night for Harwich's only run of the game. And although he's been quiet here tonight, you can consider that he's been able to take just a different approach to provide some much-needed base runners. As this one's popped fouls, it's 1-2. Had the sacrifice bunts to get a 2-out rally going in the third. Sacrifice fly from Kevin Keister, scoring Talmadge LeCroy, and an RBI base hit from Ethan Anderson. But Orleans not going away here, especially with the number 2 ERA in the Cape Cod Baseball League at just 4.2. Held Harwich to a run last night and looking to Winter for another strong outing here as Camadillo shoots it into the glove of Stallman, the third baseman. Great awareness that time as the Charlotte product is able to give Winter the first out here in the 8th.
Yeah, no, good piece from Ali that time. Just unfortunately an Adam ball, and you'll take that if you're Stallman. Easy first out, and it's 4 up, 4 down thus far for Winter.
Third baseman from Maryland, number 12, Kevin Keister.
Now 8 straight retired here between Winter and the end of the start from Ivan Romero out of San Diego. Winter has a chance to be credited with the win here if he's able to preserve the 3-2 lead. Kevin Keister out of Maryland, back up. He's had a very strong day, 2 for 2 with the sacrifice fly in the third. Orleans with the game's first lead on a 2-out RBI single from Eddie Micheletti Jr. Huge heater that time, blown by the Smyrna, Delaware native. 0-2. Harwich able to answer with 2 runs in the third on the sacrifice fly from Keister and the 2-out RBI hit from Anderson. And then a sacrifice fly and a hit as this one is lobbed out and towards shortstop, and Penny able to move to his left and make the catch. The defense really moving behind well here for Winter. He's hardly made a sweat thus far.
Yeah, not really at all. I mean, you had the line out, but it was an Adam ball, and he had it the whole way. I mean, Harwich really running out of time here, heading into the heart of the order. You need to get something going in a hurry. 2 outs here in the inning, and only 4 outs left in your season.
Anderson 1 for 3 here today for a Harwich lineup that found a couple of 2-out sparks last night. 5 for 14 with 2 outs, despite the Mariners getting the minimum up 5 times. They were 2 for 5 in advancement opportunities. Orleans, a team that is now 9-6 in 1-run games. There's a cut and a miss on a low fastball. So it's quickly 0-2 here to the Virginia product in Anderson. 0 for 4 last night, but closed out the regular season on the highest note. 11 hits, 8 RBIs, and 4 walks in the Mariners' final 10. 0-2, drill to the right side, into the glove of a diving Hallback at first. The Orleans infield refuses to let up here behind the right-handed reliever in Jaden Winter, and the Mariners go down in order for the 3rd straight inning. A 3-2 deficit for the Mariners going into the 9th. Nothing across for Harwich. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Harwich trying to keep its postseason hopes alive and force a winner-take-all matchup tomorrow at Orleans. After getting walked off last night, Matthew Boynton back out here for the 9th inning, set to face Fenwick Tribble, the 9-hole hitter. Back and forth game here at White House Field, for that matter. Feels like it was Eldridge Park. Less than 12 hours in between these two teams, having a reset here for today. James Madison product in Trimble ahead 2-0 here after starting 0 for 3 here today. Flied out to center field twice around a strikeout swinging, in which Griffin Kern came on and pitched 3 1/3 innings, but gave Orleans 2 earned runs. This one bounced foul. 2-run rally in the 8th for Orleans on the sacrifice fly from Eddie King Jr. and Eddie Micheletti Jr.'s RBI hit to score Justin Rubin. Hallback scored on the deep fly ball to right field. Harwich was walked off in its last 2 meetings. This one scorched over towards the right side, off the glove of Anderson at first, and it's in a shallow right field. So an error on Ethan Anderson here. The Mariners second on the night. They had 2 last night, and just starting to unravel here in the infield, while Orleans has sharpened as of late.
Yeah, the last couple of games, Ethan Anderson's defense, unfortunately, has just been not up to its peak. I mean, a guy who's been a brick wall and a vacuum over at first base this season, but unfortunately that one just right under the glove. I mean, another Olay earlier in the ball game and another blunder a couple games ago, so really trying to figure it out.
Orleans, a team that has walked off the Mariners in each of the last 2 matchups after getting just 1 hit on the Mariners, as Arndt loses it behind home plate into second Trimble. He was so solid last night in keeping the ball in front of him behind home plate for Cole Rollins, the Mariners closer, who was just able to get that last out to preserve the Mariners' 1-run lead with the bases loaded against him, as Orleans has yet another runner in scoring position for the 3rd straight inning here. Was unable to score 1 from scoring position in Stallman back in the 7th. Quickly 2-0 here to Joe Oyama. And you consider that if you're Oyama, you put everything behind you despite a 1 for 8 start here to the series. Got his first hit with a leadoff hit back in the 3rd before a 4-6-3 double play got Tom Shimoleski out of that situation. 3-0 here as Matthew Boynton out of Murray State looking to regain some command here. Got just 1 out, and that's all the Mariners needed in the 8th. Fly ball from Owen Carapalati. 1 hit of the game can extend it to 2 runs, as the Mariners led 2-1 entering the 8th inning. Neither team has had a multi-run lead, for that matter, here in this playoff series. Solo home run from Ali Camarillo last night. The pitching unable to just hold on late in the 9th inning. Big pitch here for Boynton, and he deals a fastball at the letters. It's 3-1. Talked about it earlier, Orleans, a team that has found a near overwhelming amount of momentum towards its final 25 games and change here in the second half of the regular season. 16 of its last 28 won, on the verge of getting its 2nd appearance in the 2nd round since 2018, as Oyama works a 5-pitch walk here, and seems as if the relief pitching that has been so solid has just reached a screeching halt here.
Yeah, it has, and Boynton, very new to the Cape Cod Baseball League. We've only seen him 3, maybe 4 times in relief, and yeah, just really struggling in a high-pressure situation, a 1-run game in the playoffs, and yeah, everything's starting to kind of crumble right now for the Mariners.
Bunch shown here from Justin Rubin, and it's located well in the outer corner. Harwich and Orleans scoreless since the 3rd inning, in which the Mariners turn a sacrifice bunt into 2 runs, a sacrifice fly, and a 2-out RBI hit to right field from Ethan Anderson. As the first baseman, Anderson now playing in against the bunt here from Justin Rubin, still trying for that first hit, and he lays it down, and Brian Arntz tried to throw it down to 3rd, but it was foul. Good read that time from Jeff Kane, the home plate umpire. A 4-man umpiring crew here today. The protocol here in the playoffs in the Cape Cod Baseball League. So Boynton still looking for that first strikeout after earning 20 this past season at Murray State. Trying to keep the Firebirds quiet here in the ninth. Griffin Kern got out of a runners on first and second jam back in the 7th inning as that one gets taken on the outer half, and it's the first strikeout here for Boynton in his first playoff appearance in the Cape Cod League.
A big one. Painted the outside corner and can't locate it much better than that. A nice job that time to get out number 1, and now just got to find a way to pick up a couple more. Can't let Orleans push anything else across. Do or die time.
Steve Angler emerging from the Mariners dugout, and he gives a sign for the Mariners' third pitching change here. Trailing 3-2, and that will be the end of the day here for Matthew Boynton after getting his first strikeout here on the evening. So he gets 2 outs in his latest appearance on the season. Harwich behind 3-2 with 1 away in the 9th inning. You're watching the Harwich Mariners postseason run on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Fourth pitching change here for Steve Angler and the Harwich Mariners behind 3-2. And their season on the line here after a walk-off loss for the second time the same week at Orleans. And Cole Rollins, the same closer who appeared last night, was unable to get the final out. Now appears with runners on first and second. Trimble in scoring position. Oyama on first here, facing Jack Penny, who shoots it into right field. And it's well through for a base hit. Getting the waiver round signed Trimble from the third base coach and Max Fesky. And there'll be no throw deep to the plate. And it's a 4-2 lead here for the Orleans Firebirds, who continue to verge towards a Game 2 win.
So, yeah, the error proves to be costly. Ethan Anderson, that one that slipped under his glove, is going to come back to haunt him, as now Orleans has doubled their lead and still threatening here. Cole Rowland gets knocked around on one of his first few pitches in the game, and Harwich now staring at a bigger gap. Not sure what's going on. Maybe a
balk.
Yeah, I believe a balk.
So a balk issued here against Rollins, and a costly one to put 2 runners in a scoring position. Sacrifice fly and an RBI hit back in the 8th inning, giving Orleans its second lead on the game after leading 1-0 after 2.5 innings, as Matt Holbach looking for his third hit here. First he cuts and misses for strike 1. The line's still open on Matthew Boynton. Surrender no hits, but did allow a walk to Joe Oyama. Leadoff hitter tonight here for Orleans. Got a strikeout with it. There's a nice breaking ball dealt low for another swing as it's 0-2.
And Angler pretty confident to be attacking Halbach with first base open. I mean, honestly, wouldn't you rather have the force play at best hitters in the lineup, the all-star? But head 0-2 now, no turning back. Roland got to find a way to get this strikeout.
So ground ball double play opportunity taken out of consideration here. The right-hander out of Wake Forest, appearing for his second straight day. A foul tip as Hallback is able to stay alive. Wow.
Must have just got a little piece of it because we didn't really hear it or see it, but couldn't come away with it.
Rolling with 2 strikeouts in the 9th inning. He was on the verge of striking out the side, either forcing extra innings last night or coming away with the Mariners' victory. The 0-2, a fastball high. 1 and 2. Saw Roland deal some splitters last night in addition to tends to go 2 on 2 strike pitches. He has pitched no more than 1 1/3 innings this year. In his first 9 relief appearances, allowing just 2 earned runs. Trying to keep it a 1-run or 2-run deficit here for Harwich, as this one's fouled off again. A good at-bat here for Matt Hallback. Took the starter and Tom Shimoleski to a 2-ball count in the first and worked a 2-2 count against Griffin Kern in the 8th. Kern then gave it over to Dak Staith, who only saw 2 batters. Got just 1 out. Matthew Boynton getting the final out of the 8th and producing just 2 outs here into the 9th. Big pitch here for Rollins, and it's line back as we'll do it again. This is the trademark that the Orleans Firebirds have when the outs dwindle in the game and they're looking to extend runs, if not come from behind, they can provide some deep at-bats. Orleans with 9 hits and Harwich with just 4 here after the Mariners gave up 8 hits last night to Orleans, 4 hits in the 9th inning, and supplied their lineup with just 5 hits. One of them a solo home run from Ali Calmadillo in their only lead last night. Second and third against Roland here. The 1-2. Flared over towards the right side. Anderson giving chase after it, and it gets too far behind him.
That was almost really unlucky. Thing just escaped foul and almost a flare single for Matt Hallback, but he'll have to climb back in.
Checking back in across the Cape Cod Baseball League playoff landscape, the Yarmouth Ennis Red Sox forcing a rubber game against the Brewster Whitecaps. They won 3-1 at Stony Brook Field. The Katuitt Kettleers led 4-1 after the 6th inning over at Doran Park after falling last night. The Highness Harbor Hawks were behind the Falmouth Commodores after the 5th inning over Arnie Allen Diamond. The 1-2 again, drilled deep out to left field, but foul. All back just a little bit early on that one here, as a near 300 hitter here for the Firebirds this season, hitting about balanced against right-handers and left-handers this season. Has a 3-1 hitting mark with 11 RBIs with runners in scoring position. He has Oyama on third and Penny on second to work with here. Still behind in the count. Roland looking for his first strikeout. 1-2, bounce to left side over to Keister. He looks back at third, goes on to first, dug up out of the dirt, and it is in time. Ethan Anderson able to recover that time. And it's a key out here for the Mariners, 2 down here in the 9th.
That was a huge scoop by Ethan Anderson, trying to make amends with the other play that he made down at first, or didn't make rather, and that one definitely saved a run and a couple extra bases. Now, big out coming for Roland, try and keep this a 2-run game.
Eddie Micheletti Jr. to be considered the savior of the day thus far for Orleans. 2 for 3. Has a single to center field for an RBI, and then the other RBI base knocked back in the 8th. Just backed off and seemed to be crowding a little bit. So it was on the inner half for strike 1. Dusk falling here at White House Field. The Orleans Firebirds played in front of a crowd of over 3,000 last night. The crowd has been quite supportive here tonight.
Especially in the Orleans department.
Absolutely. Very vocal here tonight. So runners on second and third here. Cole Roland just a strike away from getting the inning strikeout that he needs to get out of a huge jam here. Orleans with the game's first lead at 1-0 after Micheletti Jr. drove in Jack Penny, who had the walk-off base hit last night with the bases loaded. The 0-2, as this one is shot out towards left field, and it's drifting foul. So Colin Tufts filling Eddie Micheletti Jr. as he was a defensive replacement after the 8th inning. Pinch ran for Micheletti Jr. in the 8th. Micheletti Jr. did his job here as Colin Tuft getting the start last night. One of the 2 changes, Tuft not being in the lineup here today. Hitting .230 on the season. 0-2 foul back.
Really putting up a good fight against one of the best relievers in the league. I mean, fouling off pitches, staying alive, trying to add to this margin that's already at 2. Orleans out hitting Harwich 9-4, and I think you said it was 6 straight games for Orleans, not cracking 8 hits, and now they're already over that. So trying to hold on now to their lead and end the series with a sweep.
And the 0-2 again. Breaking ball down the middle as it gets called looking. 4-2 deficit for the Harwich Mariners, and Cole Rowland keeps that deficit at 2. The Mariners have one final chance to keep their season alive as they're looking to bring up the middle of the order and put across a huge spark as Orleans did to them last night. 4-2 deficit as Orleans gets another run to pad its lead here in the 9th. This is Harwich Mariners postseason baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
The center fielder from Duke, number 24.
3 outs to go for the Harwich Mariners in order to keep their season alive here against their division opponent, the Orleans Firebirds, who they beat 4 out of 6 times in the regular season in the 100th year of Cape Cod Baseball. The second reliever out of the Orleans bullpen, and Sean Matson, as Devin Obie drifts it foul to the left side. The day over for Jaden Winter, a first reliever out of East Carolina. Held Harwich scoreless in 2 innings, gave up no hits and 1 strikeout. Obie cuts and misses at a slider low. Getting into Matson, arguably the best reliever in the Cape Cod East Division this year, if not for the best in the Cape Cod League. Now Obie trying to protect, and instead he watches it get to the backstop here. Matson with a dominant season here for the Firebirds. Sophomore out of Harvard, dealt 2 scoreless innings with a hit and a walk allowed in that 2-1 win at Harwich, or against Harwich last time, as Obie drives it deep into left field, going back to the track, and that's going to be Colin Tuft, the defensive replacement. Harwich is down to its final 2 outs, but Devin, transcending success, not at all shy here for Matson at 6'2", 215 out of Harvard. He had the Ivy League's 8th most strikeouts with 59 in 13 games. His second season at Harvard, 3 wins, a 5.83 ERA, and he's only gotten better this season for Orleans in the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, he has 6 wins and 6 saves. That tells you everything you need to know about Sean Matson. He's a guy that goes out there and he's lights out. Just a guy you want on the mound, one of the best in the league to close out a game, and here he goes, 1 up, 1 down already.
Fastball dealt low here to Brian Arndt for strike number 1. Huge time for Arndt to produce here. Just outside as it's 1-1 on another fastball. Harwich trailing twice in this game. Now by 2 runs after Orleans struck first with an RBI base hit from Eddie Micheletti Jr. And then Micheletti able to drive in another run in the 8th before a sacrifice fly as Arndt lifts it deep foul to the left side.
Put a charge into that baseball, just had to straighten it out. Really good swing from Brian Arndt. Now we're going to have to protect with 2 strikes on him and the flamethrower on the mound.
2 outs to go here for Sean Matson, as Arndt cuts and misses at a high fastball. He was just a little bit behind it as he falls to 0 for 4 here today. And the Mariners' season's fate lies in Elijah Lambros out of Maryland, also 0 for 3.
Yeah, they need a really magical 2-out rally to find a way to get back and extend this ball game. Orleans just 1 out away from the sweep and advancing to the semis.
Harwich without a base runner since the 5th inning with 2 outs there. Lambros coming off a strong season at Maryland as he cranks it out towards center field. This should be playable here for Eddie King Jr. The Louisville product comes in and he makes the catch. Sean Matson again. He had 6 wins entering today, and he picks up a 3-out save here in the 9th. And the Cape Cod East All-Star sends the Orleans Firebirds into the 2nd round for the first time since 2018.
Yeah, wow, I mean, the Mariners just 4 hits in this one. That's less than last game, and they had the 1-run lead once again, but couldn't hold on to it. It fell into the hands of the bullpen, and unfortunately just really became unlucky there. And sometimes you just got to find a way to take that and move on. It's summer baseball, but this one definitely stings against a team you had so much success against earlier in the season.
The first round of the Cape Cod East Division playoffs between the 3-seeded Harwich Mariners and the number 2 Orleans Firebirds draws to a close. Orleans and wins 4-2. A 2-run rally in the 8th inning, adding another run in the 9th, and Sean Matson locks it down in order. 4-2 final. The Harwich Mariners season comes to a close. We'll break it all down here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Orleans is moving on to the second round for the first time since 2018. The Harwich Mariners fall 4-2 after getting walked off last night at Eldridge Park. Al Gruber press box for one final time on the 2023 season for the Harwich Mariners. Their season draws to a close at 20-25 and 1 on the season. Devin, the Mariners, they had a lead at 3-1, and then all of a sudden it evaporated as the Orleans Firebirds. They found a little bit of momentum, 2 runs in the 8th inning, and padded that lead in the 9th.
Yeah, no, it was just not enough offense for Harwich tonight. That was the bottom line. I mean, if your pitching staff lets up 4 runs, it is what it is, but you got to find a way to overproduce there. And Harwich, unfortunately, just 9 hits in the last 2 games, both in the playoffs, and I mean, that's not going to win you a ball game. I mean, only 4 here tonight, and then they made a pair of errors, which really hurt them. That unearned run made the game seem almost untouchable after the lack of offense that Harwich had, and ultimately it led to their demise.
2 hours and 29 minutes, and that's what it took for the Orleans Firebirds to take 2 leads in advance to the second round. Orleans, a team looking to get back to the championship game, lost to it back in 2013, a team certainly due for a championship, and you consider the Orleans Firebirds and the adversity they overcame. They lost 6 of their first 8 games, then rallied off 15 wins in July, and certainly looking to be finding the right notes at this point in order to get that Cape Cod Baseball League title.
The Cape League's always about who gets hot at the right time. For Harwich, it was at the beginning of the season. They were 9-4. They were the best team. They were number 2 in the power rankings, even 1 for a brief period of time, and then unfortunately they just unraveled in it. It's not easy with all these transactions and the player turnover and the roster turnover, things like that. They make it difficult to win a championship in the Cape League. It really comes down to who can play the best as a team for 44 at the beginning of the season, and we're unable to pull it together when it mattered most.
So the Mariners fall by 2 runs after losing each of their last 2 matchups dating back to the regular season by 1 run. Ali Camarillo hit a solo bomb in each of them at Eldridge Park, but the Harwich Mariners unable to hold on here in what looked to be a great outing from Griffin Kern. He was charged with a loss. He falls to 1-1 on the season after pitching 4 1/3 scoreless innings in that come-from-behind win at Yarmouth Dennis. And the Mariners just unable to get a particular number of outs. Orleans was so dominant with 2 outs and were really able to get to the pitching.
Yeah, no, you got to credit the Harwich pitching staff. You know, they came and gave their team a chance to win. Tom Chmielewski just 4 innings, but he only gave up the 1 earned run. And then Griffin Kern came in a game in which Englert was making all kinds of pitching changes and, you know, ran into a little bit of trouble, and the rest is history. Orleans capitalized on opportunities, and that's what they've done best, and that's what's led to their success late in the season and the surge of wins that they've been able to accomplish and put together. And, yeah, no, they were the better team, and, you know, the better team won.
Situational hitting was something that applies for the Mariners down the stretch of the regular season, particularly in that come-from-behind win at Yarmouth Dennis. Got 5 runs in the 8th inning, and then you also consider the 3-2 win at Brewster. The Mariners won at Stony Brook Field for the first time in the regular season, and it was a team that was due to win over there. The Mariners looked to be having some sort of late-game situational hitting prowess in their favor entering the playoffs here, in which they're looking to get back for that 3rd championship under Steve Angler, the 20th-year skipper, but Orleans was able to shut that down. An excellent outing out of the East Carolina product in Jaden Winter. He gets his first win on the season. Meanwhile, Sean Matson doing what he did best. He had pitched nearly 27 innings on the season, and he gets his 7th save.
Yeah, no, they were fantastic. And, I mean, Ivan Romero going 6 innings, I mean, that was fantastic. A guy who went 4, which last time, and then just one-upped his outing this time, and he was fantastic. He was the guy that Orleans needed, and then they came in, Winter pitched lights out, and then Sean Matson, you know what you're getting, and Harwich unfortunately overmatched at that point when they couldn't put runs on the scoreboard.
14 combined hits in the playoffs for the Mariners, rather 9. 5 for last night for the Mariners, and then 4 here tonight, as Harwich was just unable to find an extra ounce of momentum late in order to take its 2nd lead for good on the ball game, as Sean Matson out of Harvard picks up a much-needed save to send the Orleans Firebirds into the 2nd round. Game 3 from Yarmouth Dennis and Brewster set to arrive tomorrow. Yarmouth Dennis, after losing last night with a convincing win from Brewster, the hitting prowess is on full display. Yarmouth Dennis bounces back, and we'll be looking for us a very interesting game to see who can battle out in the East Division Championship tomorrow.
Yeah, no, those are 2 competitive teams, and they're going to leave it all out there. I'm really looking forward to kind of overseeing how Game 3 goes and wishing those 2 teams the best of luck. They're going to have to face a tough Firebirds team, whoever comes out on top.
So the Mariners have their season end here, and 4-2 here against the Orleans Firebirds. And Devin, just speaking candidly here, it has been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be able to work alongside you, whether it's been here at Al Graber Press Box here in Harwich, Massachusetts, or across the other 9 ballparks of the Cape Cod Baseball League. You consider how much grind it is every day to prepare for broadcasts and work around different opportunities to work with different particular interns in the Cape Cod Baseball League as well, in addition to our social media team here and the rest of our media crew here in Harwich. It was the 100th year of Cape Cod Baseball League that involved the Harwich Mariners hosting the Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star Game. Only the most special opportunities lasted here, and those will be the most memorable that I have working in collegiate summer baseball here, and that is certainly one to remember regardless of the outcome of this season.
Well, I mean, Wyatt, it's been a pleasure as always, and I'll kind of get into that, but I kind of put together my poetry thinking cap and put together kind of my sign off here in Harwich. So without further ado, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. And for the Harwich Mariners, that means the 2023 summer. I have been so blessed to be a part of this roller coaster of a journey, including countless memories that will last a lifetime. The Cape Cod Baseball League has been deemed the premier summer collegiate baseball league year in and year out. As a young broadcaster in high school, it's crazy to believe that I would end up working alongside the best collegiate broadcasters in the country while developing my skills through taking the talents of some of the best athletes in the world. It has been 2 summers for me in Harwich, and I can confidently look back and say that I have improved exponentially in that time. There's so many people that I need to thank who have guided me along this journey and led to my growing success within such a competitive industry. Buckle up. First and foremost, I would like to thank God. I truly believe that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and these past 2 seasons have been no exception. Every day I get to wake up and live out my passion as a broadcaster, and I never take that for granted. Next to my mom and dad, you both are my biggest fans and have constantly pushed me to better my craft each and every day. Your support is unwavering, and you have given me a terrific life to be able to seize these unbelievable opportunities. I'm so blessed to have you both in my corner, and I seriously don't think I'd be able to do what I love without you. I love you. To my brother Brady, I'm so proud that you have decided to defend our great nation and join the Air National Guard. I know you strive to follow by my example, and I hope that you realize you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You make me want to be better every day, and the bond we share is one of a kind. I love you. On my grandparents, you two are some of my biggest inspirations. Every call and text I receive from you throughout my adventure makes my day. You are 2 of the most selfless and wonderful human beings this world has to offer. I strive to lead a life filled with compassion and love as you do each and every day. Thank you for everything. Shifting gears to my mentor, Colin Casey. You have paved the way for my success through your willingness to open doors and desire to help people from similar upbringings succeed in a cutthroat field. Filling your shoes in East Longmeadow was a dream, and going on to broadcast in the NECBL and CCBL is all because of you being on my side and advocating for me through and through. I'm thrilled to be continuing to fill your shoes as the director at WMUA Sports within UMass and helping them be put on the map as a broadcasting school. To my fellow broadcaster Wyatt, you are the ultimate yes man. You help me with things without even asking. Your dedication and can-do attitude is something I strive to match. Broadcasters don't always get along, but I believe we share one of the best bonds in the entire league. You have an extremely bright future ahead of you, and I'm glad we crossed paths doing something we both love. Thank you for making this season as smooth as it could have been. It wasn't always easy, but we made the most of it. I'm so glad we have become friends, and I look forward to staying in touch. Moving on to the media team, to my producer, Sean. It's not every day that you get to work alongside one of your best friends doing something you both love. I've cherished every moment, and I can't thank you enough for all of your behind-the-scenes efforts that makes our broadcast as smooth as possible. To the head of media, Courtney, it's been a pleasure to lead the charge alongside you for this 2023 summer. Your positive energy at the ballpark every day is contagious, and I sincerely appreciate it. To our writer, Matt, our social media coordinator, Emily, the Twitter guy, Luke, our photographer, Anders, graphics girl, Emma, PA announcer, Joe, and the rest of the interns. You make coming to the field fun. It has been awesome to grow relationships with each and every one of you. I can't wait to see where everybody ends up, and I appreciate all the time and effort you put in to make the summer in Harwich one of the best internships ever. Thank you. To the coaches and players, thank you for welcoming me with open arms. It's not always fun to have to put up with the media, but you have embraced us and put up with all the interviews and questions we've thrown your way. I can't wait to see where your journey within the game takes you. Good luck. Next to the president, Mary Henderson, and our general managers, Alex Lum and Kevin Bogan. Thank you for letting me return for another summer. I hope I have been the voice that you all imagined, bringing summer baseball into the house of thousands of people. Thank you for keeping us in the loop and delivering on our requests to make the media team fantastic. I hope to make you all proud, and always feel free to contact me with questions in the future. To the fans, yeah, I know, I'm no Vin Scully just yet, but thank you for allowing me to be the person to deliver Harwich Mariners action into your homes. I hope that I have provided you with a few good calls that made you feel like you were sitting right behind the plate at White House Field. Thank you for all the feedback and support on both YouTube and on our social media. It drives me to master my passion. Hopefully I get the chance to move on to bigger stages and make you happy to have spent a summer with me. I could continue on forever as there's so many people who have aided me along the way. You all know who you are. Thank you for your support, which pushes me to keep going. As it stands now, I don't know where I'll be next summer. It could very well be here in Harwich, but if I have called my last game for the Mariners, I will hold on to these memories and experiences forever. Thank you for listening to a guy from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts live out his dream. I will forever be indebted to the Cape Cod Baseball League, which has brought me so much, and I hope to pay it forward. But for now, one last time, thank you for tuning into Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. On behalf of our entire media team, our producer, Sean Sears, and my broadcast partner, Wyatt Kopelman, this has been Devin Doback saying so long until we meet again, and always remember,